9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello. It wouldn't be a live stream if we didn't have a little bit of a technical problem to start with, would we? So we're only 4 minutes, like 4 minutes to sort out brand new software. I don't think that's too bad. Anyway, thanks for bearing with us. As usual for these things, before I bring on my special guest or guests, I wonder if you can guess who they are. Oh, guess then. Can you just let me know that you can hear and see me okay? Because it's all new here. New camera, new sound, new everything, new software. Okay, so Hartley Ride says yo. Sick One's got a little wavy hand. Evening all, says Sharpie76. So it's looking like you probably can, but I'm wondering whether you can still just see the countdown or whether you can see me. Can somebody type in, I can see you and hear you okay, Andy, and then I know we're good to go. That would be great. Right, says here, all good, sounds good, looks good. Excellent, thank you very much indeed. So, yeah, so as I say, new software, new camera. It's going to be a bit haphazard for all sorts of reasons this evening. But anyway, I hope you've had a good Easter. Great that we've changed the clocks now, isn't it? We haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I hope you've managed to get out on your bike this Easter weekend. And yeah, that extra hour is going to be super useful, isn't it? But anyway, so that's all good. But without further ado, I think we should get my first guest on, because this might take another 4 minutes of messing about to make this work. So somebody you all know and love, I'm sure. Let's see if we can bring him on. There he is.
Well, hey, hey, hello everybody. Well, first of all, Andy, your term of special guest, I'm not sure I qualify for being special. I've been on your live stream far many times to be special.
That's true, actually, and we've had a few failures together as well, haven't we? So
exactly, we have. And I'm actually in my own house tonight as well. So I've not got the delightful chance of Mrs. Flyer bringing drinks. So well, I've got my own here. We're on the B&T's, mate. Bit of Gordon's, bit of gin and tonic for me this evening. So all very upper class here at Chopsy.
It's a pink gin, John. What's going on?
It's a Gordon's, yeah, I know. It's a bit gay. Well, to tell you the truth, it's Gordon's gin with cherryade. Got to run out of lemonade or tonic. So it's all very, yeah, it's all, I'm lowering the tone here a bit. Cherryade and gin.
Incredible. Why not? I know who thought that was a thing even. Don't get it caught in your beard.
No, that's all right. How have you been then, mate? Anyway, how are you doing?
Well, funny you should ask. Not great. We won't go into a lot of details. Main issue is the shoulder, but it's a developing thing. Means I can't ride my bike for very long, which is a bit annoying when you do this game, isn't it? But anyway, we'll have you got the details in a private chat.
Okay. So again, have you got out this weekend? That's more important. We've had a bit of sunshine. Have you managed to get out on the bike?
Exactly. I have. In fact, I got out with Mrs. Fly. We went out for a bit of a fry breakfast on the bikes, which is something that is always fantastic, isn't it, to do? Having a bit of a brecco.
Are you with the fried bread? Are you buttered or not buttered on your fried bread? It's a bit of a thing. What Womble likes is fried bread buttered. I think it's a bit too much.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Buttered fried bread. What is that about? I mean, to be honest, I do quite like the sound of it. I am a bit of a man for cholesterol, but thereby that leads you to some of the problems I'm currently having. But that's another story.
One step too far.
Yeah. No, I like the idea. I think we should do it. Anyway, talking about going one step too far, our next guest is somebody who's pretty special. Never been on a live stream, as far as I know. Was a big funny. Is something on fire in your room, John? A big puff of smoke just went past the screen or something?
I hope not.
Weird. Anyway, without further ado, let's get our next truly special guest on. It's none other than Gregorio. There he is.
Hello.
Right. I'm just going to turn my volume up.
You're turning your volume up?
We can hear you all right. I can hear you all right. I can hear you all right.
Excellent.
How you doing, Andy? How you doing, Chopsy? All right?
Very good, thank you, mate.
Well, thanks for the invite. I'm flattered. So flattered.
I'm chuffed that we managed to get you on, Greg. So have you been out on the bike this weekend?
You know, I have. I went out on my Suzuki GSXR yesterday. First time in, I reckon, 6 months, actually, but not for long, only for probably an hour at the most. And I checked all the tyres, charged the battery up. I've been sort of, charging it here and there, and it managed to start first flick, and it was good to get out, actually. Really good. I couldn't believe how fast it was, actually, because it's been so long since I've ridden a sports bike, and it was like, oh my God, this is fast. So yeah,
I tried to go out on my GSXR, Greg, but I went to start it. It wouldn't start. I think it must be some sort of a first, where Suzuki doesn't start on the button when you want it. I had to take the H2 out instead. Second choice.
First world problems, John.
I know, terrible, terrible.
Fantastic. So the bike was dormant for 6 months, Greg, and you had no issue starting. It hadn't been on a battery charger or anything.
No, I've been charging it occasionally. I don't leave it on the whole time. And it was literally first button. It was amazing. Started straight away, and everything was fine. So yeah, can't complain. My KTM, however, has other issues, but we'll not talk about that yet. That's not quite as reliable as a Suzuki, to be honest.
What was I say? I'm a big fan of KTM, and this is very reliable. I should be using that in a moment.
Well, I am as well, Andy, to be honest with you. I've been a little bit unlucky this winter, I think. Yes.
That was last year's Christmas present. I'm off their list. I don't get their gifts anymore. This was one from about 5 years ago. But, Greg, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll find yourself on KTM's Christmas list very soon, I'm sure.
Well, I hope so. I really do. No, I love them. Honestly, I've had loads of KTMs, and so yeah, normally I've not actually had any issues before, to be honest. So for me, it's a bit of a first time. And I know there's lots of comments, isn't there, about issues that people have had, but I have to say I've never had a problem up until now, so I'm not really going to complain. Yeah,
no, I have to say, and I've ridden a few KTMs in my time and had them out for long-term loans. I never had an issue either. You hear these things, don't you, about bikes? KTMs, Ducatis seem to come in for a lot of stick. In reality, they're no worse or better than other bikes, in my experience. If you're talking the new bikes.
Yeah, exactly. I agree completely. And, I think actually in all the years I've been riding, I've not had many problems at all, full stop, actually. So I can't really complain because it's probably been a better part of 35 years, to be honest.
Can I just say, Greg, without wishing to blow smoke up your behind, that you've brought a breath of fresh air to Chopsy's, let's face it, rather stale channel. So it's been great to watch you. I particularly like the Africa Twin vid, mainly because Chopsy wasn't on it.
Thank you.
One of your first solos, Greg, that wasn't it? That was the third solo you've done. So you've done a couple of solos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Greg's going to be appearing much more on the channel, aren't you? Because he's a man of leisure, Andy. He only works 2 days a week, for heaven's sake, so he's got time to do these things.
Excellent. Well, I guess before we get too carried away and I get glugging on my first bottle of beer, we should get our next special guest in, and this is for is to tick some boxes. We're all blokes, so I think we need a female. I think we're all old. I think we need a bit of youth, and also we're all in the south. I think we need a bit of a northern contingent, don't we? So you don't get much more northern than this. It's only username Kate. There she is.
Oi, 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 oi. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well. Oh, thank you, Mike.
Can you translate, Chopsy?
Cheers.
Talk amongst yourself.
So what's everyone drinking? Come on, what's everyone drinking?
Hi, Greg. Hi, Chopsy. Hi, Andy. And hi, everybody on the chat. I hope you're all well.
Yes, hello, everyone on the chat.
I am on water.
What's that about? Are you not a drinker then, Kate?
I am. I think Mike's going to actually get me some mead with any luck. Ooh. I'm on the mead.
That's quite an advanced thing, isn't it, mead? Is that, I'm sure I should know what that is. Is that pear something or other?
No, I think it's like a honey wine type thing, I think.
Blimey, is it a northern thing? Or is
no, it's actually found on Holy Island in Northumberland.
Because you've just been up that way, haven't you?
I have. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did a bit of a trip of Yorkshire and ended up in Northumberland, or is that all two separate trips? I can't work it out.
Two separate trips. So I've done Peak District with my good friend Lily, Duke of Blonde, on social. And then we did the Yorkshire trip, and then this Easter we've done Northumberland, which is
fantastic. Awesome. Fantastic. And what's your current bike of choice?
My bike of choice?
Yeah.
For what do you mean, for Northumberland, or what I like, what I love?
Yeah.
Well, Chopsy knows that I took the 1390 Super Duke on track and loved it. Loved it. Yeah,
it's proper good. It's good, Kate, isn't it? It's very good.
Yeah, worlds apart from the 1290 on track, I found.
So what's the attraction of that over the GS then? Because you've ridden the new one quite extensively, haven't you, as well?
Yeah,
I know you're a GS fangirl.
I love the GS, but I've got one in my garage, so I was just picking something different. I do love the GS for sure.
Fair enough. KTM compared to the new GS, what makes it better, if anything? Because I've not ridden the new KTM.
Not better, just different kettle of fish. Yeah, like I feel like the GS is amazing if you want to go and do some stonking mileage, but the KTM is just fun. Yeah, like too fun.
So might there be one of those in your future, do you think?
I can't justify it because my own bikes don't get ridden enough as it is. So
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
So it's
Problem, isn't it?
it's hard to
a dilemma.
justify.
So, Chopsy, how many bikes are you on at the moment? How many have you got?
My own. In the garage, I've got about 9. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a bit ridiculous at the moment. My own bikes, I've got the H2, the GSXR, the 690, the Ducati, which I'm counting as a bike now, not just a box of bits. It's almost a bike. And the old ZXR 750, the old restoration project, which is coming after the Ducati. And then on loan, I've got a Nikan, which takes up a lot of room, having 3 wheels.
Oh, I didn't know you had that, Chops.
Yeah, Africa Twin, CB500R, and I've got the Norton Commando coming on Wednesday as well. So
good luck with that one.
A bit full in there at the moment. Yeah, might have to offload some to you, Greg.
That's fine.
Oh, what a shame, Greg!
Yeah,
what a shame.
Just thinking about that Africa Twin, Chopsy, because I assume it's the DCT one that I watched Greg's excellent review of.
It was indeed, yes.
Have you had a chance to ride it much yet? And have you found?
I have. Yeah, I did. I went down to Exeter on it to see the guys at Hell Performance. So there's a bit of a video coming in and sort of looking around the Hell facility down there, which is quite amazing. So I thought, I've got a 300-mile trip. Let's take one of the bikes, So it's a throw between that and the Nikan. But because of the traffic, I thought, let's go 2 wheels. It'd be easier for nipping past cars, etc. But yeah, it's a DCT. And what we didn't realise, Greg did his first ride, but I just basically chucked you the keys, Greg, didn't I? And I said, go on, take it out for a spin. None of us have used DCT before, so we didn't really know what to expect. And what we didn't realise is in the sport mode, you've got 3 different levels of sportiness. So it was on the mid-level. It was on the mid-level out of 3 when Greg rode it. I put it in the S1 setting, and I found it more or less perfect in S1. It's one of those things. For the first hour, I didn't get on with it, but on a journey like that, when you're just doing miles and miles and miles, it actually becomes really nice. And by the time I'd done the trip, I was like, would I want DCT or not? And I was sort of into. And to start with, it was like, absolutely not. By the time I'd done 300 miles on it, I was like, well, maybe I would. It's one of those. It is one of those.
And Andy, is your Goldwing? I guess that's DCT, is it?
It is. My poor old Goldwing. I say poor old Goldwing because I dropped it this afternoon for the first time ever.
No.
I couldn't believe it.
No.
I had to. I've got to take my Beamer to the garage tomorrow to get an engine fault light that keeps recurring sorted. And it's, as it would always be, it's parked in the wrong spot in the garage. So I had to get all my bikes out to get the Beamer out ready for an early start tomorrow. And I reverse the Goldwing out. It's got that reverse gear, which is flipping brilliant. And I get it into the right spot on the drive and think, oh, that's perfect. And I just get off it without even bothering to put the stand down. What is going on? So over it went. So I stood on it and I thought, oh God, I haven't put the stand down. And I just eased it on the ground. But I remembered in my brain that when I took it for a service a few months back at the Honda place, I was talking to the salesman there about, have you ever dropped? And he said, oh, I've dropped these all the time, because he wheeled it round out from its service like it was a little KTM or something. I thought, this is incredible. And I said, have you ever dropped one doing this? Oh, he said, I drop them all the time. And I was thinking, this isn't great, is it? But he said, don't
not
worry.
promising.
He said they drop very well. And in fact, if you ever get to look at one, they've got these 2 little lugs on the side of them. There's one on the exhaust. It's like a solid, it feels like raw iron under it, but it's got a plastic cap on it. And there's one at the front. And when it goes over, it only goes over a little way and sits on those lugs and nothing touches the ground. So because I literally got off it and it just slowly went down, it made a bit of a cracking noise. It went down. I thought its fairings all breaking. It's going to be horribly expensive. But all it was these little bits of black plastic over those raw iron protectors, just clicking slightly in their positions. So I went and got Mrs. Fly to pick it up because I couldn't do it with my dodgy shoulder. She picked it up. Strength of an ox, unbelievable. Yeah, but I did help her, to be fair, and absolutely no damage, not even to the protectors on the bike. So it's absolutely untouched.
Side stands are optional then on Goldwing. Well, that's something we learned tonight.
Yeah, I'm very pleased about that because I thought that was going to be another expensive trip to the dealers. But anyway, yeah, it is a DCT. That was a long answer, wasn't it, Greg? And I love DCT on that because, like you were saying, John, if you're touring, which of course that's what that bike's all about. Makes absolute sense for a relaxed ride, doesn't it? But when I recently rode the Africa Twin DCT, I got a chance to ride one briefly. I'll just say at an event a couple of weeks ago. It may have been a rugby match, but let's not go there. And I was riding next to a guy from Honda on another one, and it was the first time he'd ridden one. We may have been escorting the England team into Twickenham. I'll say no more. And as we rode in, I thought it just felt a bit spongy as you accelerated away. It was like the clutch was slipping. I thought it felt horrible. So I said to him, is there something wrong with this one? And he said, I felt exactly the same. So I was intrigued when Greg said it felt a bit like a scooter.
Yeah.
So
just a bit laggy when you pull away, wasn't it? Just a little bit hesitant.
You think, is it going to go or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But once you got used to that, though, once you know when it's going to buy, it's fine. I mean, I'd say I'm 50-50 whether I'd go DCT or not. It's a clever system. It's like anything on the African Twin. Though you want to adjust anything on that bike, it's so complicated, isn't it?
Oh.
And you need the manual. It's a nightmare. You know,
you don't just need a manual; you need a degree of some sort.
I know it's a bit ridiculous to drive. I think it's the most complex bike I've ever tried.
If S1 is like the best mode, then why is that not one of the default modes? Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but once you set it, it will stay on that. So I guess
out of the shop.
Yeah, but a lot of people said in the comments, Greg, they said S2's best, which is what you had it on.
Right.
A lot of people said that in the comments. Yeah. So
okay, all right.
Yeah. But there we go. It's one of those things, isn't it? I think you do need more time on it though to get to appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it depends what you're doing with the bike. If you're using them for big miles, which you wouldn't have for Twin, then for me, like the Goldwing, DCT is a must. Have you ridden with DCT, Kate?
I have.
And what do you make of it?
I actually, for where I was, it was perfect. Now you'll know this, Andy, because it was in Gran Canaria with Canary Motorcycle Tours, and it was the NC 750, and it was just, it's a great bike for when you're trying to vlog, you're trying to take in the scenery. You've got a lot of things going on. Just like takes a bit of a thought process away, which in that situation was very good, and I quite kind of liked the freedom it afforded me of just being able to look around, just flow with it, just doing everything for me. The only thing I didn't quite like at first was on the proper tight hairpins, when it's like trying to select the gear for you, what you don't quite want it to be in. And it can just kind of like take you by surprise a bit. But then I got used to the flappy paddles.
Yeah, you
and
just drop it down a gear, really.
Exactly, just a bit before. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I've not ridden DCT in the UK, just in Gran Canaria.
Right. I mean, I found it perfect in Gran Canaria on those bikes. Because again, as long as you know about knocking it down a gear on the corners, then you're good. And you found the same, Greg, didn't you, on the Africa Twin, that it sometimes sort of drifted around the corners unexpectedly?
Yeah, just a bit too tall for my liking on some of the gears. It just felt a bit false neutrally. But I mean, I only rode it for probably an hour and a half, so it wasn't particularly long. But yeah, I'd like a bit more time with it. So if you still got it, Chopsy, I might try and get another go actually. And have a
They're getting it Wednesday. They're getting it Wednesday.
Quick. They'll have to be quick.
Maybe it's coming towards Great Missenden after that though.
Oh, you got it, Andrew.
No, I haven't actually, but I do want to get it, because having now had a little taster on it at that Twickenham thing, I thought, you know what? In the past, when I've ridden them, I've complained that they were too complicated from a switchgear point of view, because there's a lot of buttons going on, aren't there, with them? And it was also just too tall for me, being a bit of a shorty. But now they've made it a lot shorter, haven't they? It's much more accessible for a shorty like me. And now, having ridden the GS with its horrible bloody button situation, we have to go into menus to turn the heated grips on. Actually, having a lot of buttons on the Africa Twin suddenly is a preferable option. So I now forgive it. So, and also, I was
watching. One of those things, isn't it? As a new bike or first time you ride it, it's a lot of buttons. But if you owned it, you read the manual, you don't know how to work it all, and then
just get used to it.
You just get used to it, yeah, exactly. And what I did find with the 19-inch front, a lot of adventure bikes, when they go 19, I'm thinking of like the V-Stroms. They don't look quite as imposing, do they? They all look a bit lower and a bit more weedy. But the Africa Twin, even with the 19, it still looks imposing and big. And so I think it's personally, I think it's a good move on the Africa Twin to switch to.
Yeah, I do. I think to make it a lot more accessible, and I suspect it'll gain some sales at the expense of the GS for those that don't like the new GS.
I would agree. And
also, I was watching, I don't know if you saw Richie's latest tour series in Morocco. I mean, that bike just handled everything, didn't it? So, I mean, that was brilliant. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you chaps, because again, new software, don't know what you're seeing. I know what I'm seeing, and you all look wonderful, by the way. Can you see the comments?
I can.
Yes,
I can.
Yes, I can. I'm on the right hand side.
I guess we should look at some and see what
people really
probably should. Yes.
So if you see a comment that you want to point out, do raise it, because it's the whole point of a live stream, isn't it? We will try and have a bit of interaction with our live audience.
Well, I've seen some comments about people talking about slightly cheaper bikes than the Africa Twins. That's probably not a bad shout, actually, because they are getting quite pricey now, aren't they?
Oh. The price of bikes thing, whenever MCN often try and address this, and they go through inflation and all the rest of it, don't they? And look at how much bikes used to cost 20 years ago versus now, given inflation and cost of living and all that. And they usually come to the conclusion actually bikes are about the same as they used to be, or even a bit less. But to me, they do seem really expensive. It's unbelievable, isn't it? If you want a big adventure bike now, you've got to have 20 grand to spaff on one, haven't you?
Yeah, it feels like a lot to me. It really does. But I mean, maybe they're right, but it does. I think they seem expensive, Andy, as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the good news is there's lots of great cheaper bikes now, isn't there? Particularly, if you're going down the twin route for a sort of mid-size adventure bike or indeed sports bike now. What's your take on those?
Who's that to, Andy?
You can take it first.
I'll jump in. Yeah, I think they're great.
Chopsy.
I mean, they're not. I know the new Daytona. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's not a real Daytona. Called it something different," and I sort of get that. And I haven't ridden it, so I've got no real comments on that. And I've not actually ridden the new 8R. So,
have you still not rode it yet, Chops?
I've not even ridden that. No, you rode it, Kate, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I've not ridden that.
I really enjoyed it. That was a fun launch.
What about the R7? You've ridden that, Kate?
I have.
And how does the 8R, because I haven't ridden that yet, I've got it coming soon, but how does that compare to the R7?
A far more sustainable riding position for me for the day on the Suzuki. The R7 just wrecks my back, my neck, my wrists after a while, because it is like very purpose-built extreme, to go on track if it wants to and stuff. Whereas I feel like the Daytona and the Suzuki, they've very much gone down the more comfy, more accessible route. But it is nice having the two extremes because then there's more choice.
You can take your choice, can't you then?
Which is great, yeah. But personally, I really, thank you, Michael. He's brought me some mead. Oi, oi.
Well, it looks just like water. Is that your special mead?
A special mead. This is the diluted one. No, this is pure Holy Island mead. Oh, that's a lot though. Sorry, yeah. So the parallel twins, I like them, because again, it's just choice.
Yeah,
I like choice.
I agree. I personally do like the look of that Daytona, and I think I love the looks of sports bikes. But like you, Kate, I can't be doing with the position they put you in, especially now I'm getting old and decrepit.
Don't say that.
I think on the road, the new Daytona would be absolutely perfect. What's the horsepower? Something like 88 or 90 horsepower, isn't it? So it's not a lot in sports bikes terms, but that's ample for the road if you want to actually, give it the beans, isn't it? It's the old, riding a low-powered bike to its fullest versus not riding much of a high-powered bike, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, Andy, do you not miss your 899 then since you sold it?
Not in the slightest. I only miss looking at it. I love that bike. I still think it's one of the loveliest looking bikes ever. But when I took it for its MOT and I'd only done 100 miles in a year and 40 of those was to the MOT station and back, I thought, this is ridiculous. It's time to, get rid. So I have to say I haven't missed it for one moment. And I sold that and I bought the Kawasaki Z900 RS SE with the money I got for that. And I've ridden that way more. I mean, that's got its own issues, but I've ridden that way more than I ever did the Panigale. And it's arguably almost as good looking. It's one of those bikes that, I like retro bikes. It's one of those bikes when I park it up in the garage, I have a little sneaky look back. I think that is a nice looking bike. So don't miss it at all from a riding perspective, just looking at it. But, I once had, I used to be and still am a fan of TVR cars. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember.
And I had a V8 Chimera, which was my pride and joy. It was a fantastic car. But when we had kids, it was like having a two-seat sports car. It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? So reluctantly, I flogged it. And I was whinging to a mate of mine saying, look, I'm going to really miss it because I think it looks lovely and it sounds great. And he said, well, why don't you just record the engine and take some photographs of it? Which I did. And I have to say, I've not missed that one iota either.
Fair.
It's the thought, isn't it?
Too impractical.
That was constantly breaking down there, Andy, wasn't it? It had to have been a TVR, wasn't it? Wasn't it constantly?
Well, tell me about it. I know all about British cars breaking down. We won't go there. I've got one in the drive at the moment that hasn't been anywhere for 2 months, waiting for parts. Anyway, so any comments that we can see? That's what we got here from Sean Deacon. I can see a GS.
Yeah, Sean Deacon. That's a good one.
Ooh, views on the 1300. Should 1250 riders make the change? Have you ridden both, Greg?
I have. Yeah, I did a comparison with Chopsy.
Oh, that's right. Of course you did.
Yeah, direct comparison.
How could I forget?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a tough question. It's like the $1 million question, isn't it? I think I like them both actually. The 1250 was also really good. So I think unless you're riding them back to back, my view was it's probably not essential. But I did think the 1300 was very, very good, and I did sort of fall in love with it as well. So maybe it's a question for Kate, you got a 1250, Kate, have you?
No.
Oh, yours is 1200.
Yeah, I've got a little pop spec and I love it.
Okay. Oh,
No, 2016 triple black. But I have ridden 1250s extensively because I did used to sell them. So I needed to test out the merchandise before I
So
sold
what's
it.
your view? What's your view on is it worth a 1250 owner upgrading? If you do an upgrade?
It's a tricky one. I guess it all boils down to how much you can justify to change. And everyone's so different because a lot of people have a lot more money than other people. I personally couldn't justify it, but I wouldn't be unhappy because I love the 1250 so much. And the 1300 is wicked. And I especially like the adaptive ride height because I tried that recently with Chopsy in Jerez.
Yeah, he's good that, isn't it? It is really
and it just was like, well, it basically just feels like a smallish bike when I'm sat on it, and then when you're moving, it's fine. So for me personally, if I owned a 1250, I don't think I would get a 13. But then again, my dad's different because my dad, who is watching this, I think, hi dad, he has a 1250 triple black, and he's just part-exed it for a 1300 because he was mega impressed with it.
Interesting. Well, I have a video comparing the two coming up.
What's your view, Andy? Because you've ridden both, haven't you? So what's your view on? Because you've got the 1300 in the garage since Christmas, haven't you?
I've had the 1300 since October actually, so I've been riding that a lot, and there's no doubt it's a stunning bike to ride. I just struggle with the looks of it still, although it is growing on me slightly, but it is a stunning bike to ride. And I agree on the adaptive ride height; that is just brilliant. Although I made a video just on the adaptive ride height recently.
I did see that, yeah.
Thank you. And somebody commented said, well, if it's so that shorter people can ride it, why don't they just stick with an option where you can have a lower, a low frame height in the first place, and then you've got something that you don't have to pay extra for, and it doesn't have potential to go wrong in the future. And I tend to agree with that actually.
But
although
technically, if you got that from new, you would have to pay more for it because the chassis low one was a cost option.
Was it? I wonder how that compares, that cost to.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact cost it was, to be honest. It was
a lot of people need to be worried that if the adaptive ride height goes wrong and you're shorty and it's in the high position, I assume it defaults low, but who knows?
It's fall over when you stop.
Well, exactly. Or you're off road and it doesn't quite go down quick enough, and you put your leg down and you're off. So there's those sort of things to consider. Although I was impressed with it, but I'm an on-road rider only. And lots of people said, "What about if you do an emergency stop? Will it get down quick enough?" Well, I think it would, because I think you'd have to brake pretty flipping fast. Would you agree, Kate, to defeat that system? It's fast, isn't it?
Oh, I'm going to get one and try it. I'm going to slam on. Send it off to the moon.
I forgot to try that. Do the quickest stop you can.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah, and see if you fall off and break the dealer's bike.
Yeah, fingers crossed I won't.
No, I don't think you'll have a problem. I think it lowers rapidly.
Yeah. So one thing to bear in mind, Andy, with the ride height thing, if you just get a lower seat option or lower subframe, you're obviously losing leg room because you're bringing the seat closer to the pegs. Whereas with the ride height control, it doesn't affect your leg room on the bike.
Agreed.
So that was one of the good things with the ride height.
By definition, if you're a shorty and need the shorter, to get your legs down, then you probably don't mind about losing a bit.
Well, you're going to have shorter legs in the first place, I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, I think I posed in my video the question: why would you want, why would you want to be able to set it manually, for example? Because there's an auto, or you can set it high or set it low, I think. And I just entirely forgot in my video that people do ride these things off road, and of course the extra travel is handy when you're off road. So forgot about that. I guess that's the reason it's there. But I personally would rather have a lowered bike in the first place. But in terms of answering the question, do I think a 1250 you should upgrade to a 1300? Well, I've made a video about that, and that's coming out soon. I can't remember when.
So I can't reveal all the secrets.
No, I can't reveal my conclusions, but yeah. It's fascinating the number of people that have said, "Oh, Andy, you're going to buy that bike because it's green with gold wheels." People think I'm immediately going to do some amazing deal with BMW, and that bike's going to be mine. Well, we shall see, is all I can say. And by the way, I don't think it works quite like that with BMW, as far as I've heard. I'm not sure they're into doing deals with the likes of me.
They don't tend to do amazing deals on their long-termers, or would have had that double I had a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Did you try and do a good deal? Tell me later.
I tried, but they wouldn't have it, so I gave it back.
Greg, have you been reading the comments? Have you got anything for us from the comments?
Well, only that someone was moaning that I didn't have a shave when I did the Africa Twin.
How dare you, Greg? How dare you?
So
you
I
tramp.
apologise for that. I'll take that on the chin. It wasn't deliberate.
Take it on the chin. Love it.
On the chin, no pun.
No pun intended.
But no, I'm just having a little scout through. Is there anything on there?
What do we got here? I'm just looking at Happy Old Git. What's he saying about the Ford GSAs? 1300, hate the looks. Looks like an NT750. Lighter, lower, faster. To me, that's not what a GS is about. Well, the thing is, lighter, lower, faster. Well, number one, I don't think it is. To me, it doesn't feel that much lower. You know, having ridden a 1250 and the standard, the bike I've got is a standard height one. To me, it doesn't feel any lower. So I don't know.
It feels the same to me as well.
Yeah, and as far as lighter, again, I'm mostly used to the 1200, which is my bike, and my 1200 is way lighter than the new 1300 in terms of moving it around in the garage. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm pretty convinced my 1200 is lighter. Because again, I think this is a bit of marketing spin, isn't it? Where they've not, as standard, put a centre stand on the 1300. They've lost a bit of fuel tank space, and they've done a few other little bits of skullduggery to make it appear lighter than the 1250. Which I think it is, because the 1250 is quite a heavy bike to move around. So I think those things where BMW claimed, you know, lighter, lower, etc. For me, somebody that values lighter and lower, I've not really found that's been the case. What do you think, Kate? Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got a litre less tank capacity with the new one as well. It's 19 litre tank from 20. But when I got on it, I did think that when you look down, I feel like it looks slim. Like it's been on Weight Watchers, trim. But in terms of like height, I didn't find it that different because ours is 850 or a bit taller, depending on what setting we have. We don't have that option with the new one though, do we? With the 1300, you don't have the 2 seat height settings. It is what it is. It's 850. Whereas we could flip the little thing over if you're obviously you know.
That's right.
So either make it higher or lower. So, but I didn't really find it all that different. One thing I did find different, which was a bit annoying, because as a shorty, not in the R&B term, that'd be a bit weird, with the stand, because it has to accommodate, all the stands have to accommodate a potential adaptive ride height.
Yeah,
it leans over a lot with a full height one without the adaptive height. So for me, it was giving like Africa Twin Adventure Sport vibes for me to hoist it off the stand.
I know, and you try it with the pillion on the back. I'm not saying it's weighty, but my word, it's difficult. Again, me with tricky shoulders, I don't want to go on, and I never complain about it.
I think, Greg, these GS fanboys, we're going to be chatting all night about GSs unless we change the subject here.
All right, let's change the subject then. Find us another comment to talk about.
I've got comments there. So someone's asking, what's the best bike tech that you guys have sort of encountered in the last 12 months, and perhaps the most pointless bike tech? So there you go. It's a good question, I think, isn't it?
This divides a lot of people, but I like quick shifters and auto blippers.
You like them?
Yeah, you feel gangster.
No, I do as well.
Love it.
I never did actually when I first came out, because I have to say, to start with, I was a bit like, I'm not sure about these, but I love them now. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially even better when it's got a blipper.
That's probably the last 4 or 5 years, isn't it?
Sorry, Greg.
Adaptive cruise.
I was just saying that wasn't the last 12 months that they've been brought out, though, was it? Whereas, that's probably the last 4 or 5 years, isn't it? Quick shifters and blippers.
Oh, is that the question? It's within the last 12 months?
Yeah, within the last year, the best new bike tech, if anything.
Right. Go on, John.
Adaptive cruise. Well, even adaptive cruise is older than 12 months, isn't it?
Well, let's pretend.
Probably that BMW ride height control. back to the GS again.
Let's move on from that. All right, the worst then, the most pointless bit of tech.
Good question.
Yeah,
I think rider modes are the most pointless bit of tech. Rider modes, though. Surely the rider modes, just get your bike fueled properly in the first place.
Yeah.
And you get good fueling on your throttle. You don't need any rider modes, do you?
It's like rider modes on a 70 brake horsepower bike. It's like, come on. Yeah. Like, just make it responsive straight off the bat. And
I think we're all in agreement. I've always found rider modes to be a complete waste of time. Now, on some bikes, they do make a difference, don't they? Again, going back to my Goldwing, sport mode is very different to tour mode, and it makes a big difference. So, yes, you can see a difference. But why have the difference in the first place? Just have the bike as you want it, i.e. always in sport mode.
Yeah, and just go a bit easier up right hand when it's raining.
Exactly. It's I'm with you, John. I think it's a bit of emperor's clothing, isn't it, on rider modes? People bang on about it having another couple of rider modes, and you think, well, I don't need any more. I want maybe rain and road, but no more than that. Sorry, Kate, did you see a comment?
Yeah,
it depends on the bike, isn't it? It depends on the bike as well, what bike you've got. If you've got a litre bike, then it's nice to have a mode maybe which drops the power. But, on these middle weights with all the rider modes, waste of time. Absolute waste of time.
Hartley Rides has said keyless ride.
I agree with them completely.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah, that's another bugbear. That's another bugbear. Keyless fuel caps. Keyless fuel caps as well. That's a killer.
Flipping
with
nightmare.
a keyless ride, I had a bit of a heart attack moment because I was on the new R1290 riding around Trafford Bowling. It's a signal dead spot. And I've been doing some filming with Mike, and he was in the car and he brought the drone so we could get all the nice shots. Shout out to Mike, he's an absolute legend. And when I was like switching in between jackets, and the key was in one of the jackets. And as he drove off, my heart sank because I thought that key was in my other jacket in the boot. And I'm like running after him like a madman, going, "Stop, Mike, stop!" Like he didn't see, and he just drove off. And I thought, I am screwed. If that key is in that jacket, like I think it is, how do I get home? I'm in a dead spot. Anyway, thankfully, it was in my jacket that I had on. So crisis averted. But for that moment, my heart fell out my backside.
Yeah, I can
Not
imagine.
good.
And again, it's another thing that potentially can go wrong. You know, if the battery runs out when you're on tour or something, what a pain. I mean, I know you can buy batteries everywhere, and there are ways to work around it if it does run out. But it's just hassle you can do without, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with the key, is there?
No. And also, if you've got a bike, if you do track days and you've got a bike with keyless, what do you do with the key on a track day? You end up just tucking it in your leathers.
Yeah.
By the time you finish your session, you undo your boots and it falls out the bottom of your trousers.
That's a very good point.
That's what I've had.
Yeah, that is a classic.
So the new Fireblade, for example, keyless. So that's very much a track machine and a road machine. But if you go on track, you've got to end up. And most race leathers don't have pockets in. If you've got a two-piece, which is more of a road suit, they have an inside pocket. But a lot of the race suits have no pockets, so it just ends up slowly working itself down your body as you go around the track.
Yeah.
You undo your zipper on the end of your leg at the end of the day.
Don't tell us where you tucked it.
Chris Kelly does raise a good point.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, Chris Kelly raises a good point. He says, "I'm an instructor constantly on and off the bike and absolutely love keyless ride." See, it can be good in certain situations for sure.
Yeah, I must say, again, it depends on the bike. So again, not want to bang on about my poor old Goldwing that I dropped today, but that's got keyless ride on it. And I have to say, it's brilliant on that because you put it in your pocket and you never have to touch it again because you can open the fuel thing with not touching it. It properly sorts out the luggage, unlike the GS. On the Goldwing, you just walk up to the bike and it knows that the key's nearby, so it unlocks the luggage and you can get in and it's all fine. With the GS, I don't know if you had the luggage, Kate, on your one, did you?
I did.
What a faff the keyless on that is.
I
mean, it's you either have to turn the bike on to unlock the panniers, or you have to take the key out and press a little blipper on the fob to unlock them. And it's complete, and sometimes unlocks up. It's just horrible. So yeah, I think keyless ride must take the pride. I think the most rubbish invention. I think, are we all agreed on that? The keyless ride is we could do without that.
And fuel caps especially, because someone mentioned the other day on one of my, I posted something on Facebook, and they said, their Speed RS, the fuel cap malfunction, they couldn't keep petrol in the bike. It's just like, what? That always worries me with keyless petrol caps. If that goes wrong, you're absolutely screwed, aren't you? And it's just unnecessary.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely
can I just say, Kate, your audio is way clearer than everybody else's.
That's because
you spent some money on yours. What are you using there?
I don't even know. This is Mike set up. So my other half, Mike, I'm going to shout him out, Andy. I hope you don't mind because he helps my channel no end. He's an absolute superstar. If I need anything, he's there logistically, drone-wise, photographer. He's amazing. He actually streams with Twitch. Like that's what he does. Yeah. Like is 8 hours a day. So he's got this microphone. But if any of you guys actually are into Twitch or anything like that, he is Mike Pye, P-Y-E, on Twitch, and you can sub to him for free if you have Amazon Prime. So help him out. He's a good guy. Right, I've done my plug. Go, Andy. You go.
Sadly, on my channel, Kate, you might be preaching to the wrong audience for gamers, but
you never know. You know what? If one person follows him, appreciative.
But your mic work's a treat. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I think it's a HyperX, whatever that is.
No idea, but it sounds good to me. Right, any other comments that anyone spotted? Somebody said that they love keyless system on their GS. One tip, always keep the key in your trouser pocket, not your jacket. You're unlikely to take your trousers off.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, that is true, actually. You're not going to swap them over, are you? That is a good point.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Need to edit mic settings can take out keystrokes on keyboard. So it's not that good, your sound, Kate. We can, whenever you tap the keyboard, we can hear it tapping away.
That's because it's too clear.
Yeah.
It's too good.
You need to put some little bits of sponge on your keypad, because I've been typing away here the whole time and you've not heard me at all, have you?
No. See, I'm just trying to react with these guys and engage. So my bad. But it's what it is.
I'm just looking to see what Zvispur is saying about keyless. The thing with keyless is it allows you to go far enough from the key that finding it will be next to impossible. Let's get me head around that. What's he mean?
I think the keyless is that it allows you to go far enough from the key that finding it will be next to. Oh, so like your bike switches on, but whereabouts is your key? And then you're like opening up your rucksack and trying to figure out where it is. I think that's what he means.
That's what Bruce said. I think Bruce said that on one of his tours he went on. Do you remember? I remember seeing his videos. He knew he had the key somewhere because the bike started, but he couldn't find it anywhere. So he knew it was there somewhere, but he just couldn't find it. I think it was the very bottom of his rucksack in the end.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, I did see that video. Now you mention it.
Yeah.
I was just looking on the stream to try and work out if we've got anybody watching, and we've actually got 859 people watching. That's nuts, isn't it? If we had 859 people in front of us, it might be a bit nerve-wracking, mightn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure someone would throw something at me.
There's nothing on the telly tonight.
No, clearly not. Clearly not. Excellent. Well, thank you for tuning in, folks. Right, what else have we got? Kate, have you ridden the Ninja 1000SX? Any thoughts, says Paul?
Yes, I did the tour on it, and I loved it. It's so effortless. It's so easy to ride. Like the induction raw is beautiful on it. It feels premium. I really
price as well, isn't it? It's good value.
Yeah. I was actually on the performance tourer, so it had like the Akrapovic and it had a few fancy little bits and the panniers, and it was just totally fit for purpose for the job. Loved it. Yeah.
I must admit that's one touring bike I do love as well. I think it's great value for money. The looks of it I can just about live with. It's comfortable. Goes like stink. And whenever I've made a video about it, I've only ever made 2 videos on those, I think. It gets lots of views. So there's clearly a lot of interest on that bike out there.
Well, I think I'm going to film on it tomorrow, actually.
It's smooth, isn't it? So smooth.
So smooth. Yeah. And like you can be in town in 6th gear doing 20 mile an hour. Yeah. And it's not like it's in 6th gear, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. But it for that purpose of just like lazy riding, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, just noticed we've got Teapot in the chat.
I know, I've just seen we got Bruce here. Brucey baby.
I must just say, because a few people said, where's Teapot and where's Richie? We've been trying to organise some sort of live stream for a long time and we can never get us all together. So I for some reason thought Bruce, I forgot his name there, was out on tour. So I didn't ask him. But Bruce, if you want to join, feel free. I'll send you a message now. I'll tell you how you do it. But you 3 talk amongst yourselves. I'll just send Bruce a message in case he wants to join. Hang on.
No worries, Eddie. No worries. Well, someone said
the most pointless extra, Chopsy, is an ashtray on a Harley they've just introduced.
An ashtray on a Harley.
That's right up there with air conditioning, isn't it?
That's pretty useless, isn't it? Oh dear.
Chris has put, are any of you going to be riding the new XSR 900 GP anytime soon? Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm going to the launch actually. So
Shut up.
To the launch,
aren't you the honoured one?
I know. So
jealous.
I'm proper excited about that bike because I've ridden all of the Velocity Moto sort of replicas. They do like replicas, and I've ridden all of those. So when the GP was announced, I was like, yeah, that looks brilliant. So I said to Yamaha, I need to ride this bike early, let me know when it's available. And Jeff, who's like the marketing guy, Yamaha, said, do you want to come to the launch? And I was like, yes, please. So I think it's Portugal. I think it's half a day on track.
On track with that engine. Yeah, I am gutted.
And half a day on the road. So I think it's 23rd of April, I think it is. So
not long.
Yeah, so that'd be great. Can't wait.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Do
you know what? Well. I don't understand why they didn't put that belly pan on as standard though, and it's like extra £500 or something. Like, come on, Yamaha.
I agree.
But still, it looks sexy.
Looks good though, doesn't it? So that would be great, and I think that would do really well for Yamaha. Because even it's an XSR 900, so I guess you know what it's going to ride like, but just the looks, it looks really cool, doesn't it?
Oh,
when's the Ducati days then, Chopsy?
Yeah, Ducati Days next week. So there's a media day at Ducati. I don't know if you're going to that one, Kate. Are you? It's, there's
I'm
one...
going on. I'm on the 4th. Are you the 5th?
Yeah, I'm on the Friday. Yeah, so I'm going. But I think the forecast is wet, isn't it? So
Is it?
Yeah, all week, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I can't wait to take a Diablo out in the rain.
Brilliant. Which is
Joy.
I can see the video. Which is the best Ducati to ride in the rain?
It does have a wet mode though, so you'll be all right. It's got riding mode.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're right. Wet mode.
Riding modes to the rescue.
I actually took one of those Diablo V4 slightly off road by mistake, and it was pretty good actually.
Shut up.
But it doesn't have an enduro mode.
No, what a shame. Who'd have thought?
Exactly. Anyone ridden the Gutsy Stelvio, says VRHP.
No, I would love to.
Yeah, me too. I get lots of people asking when am I going to ride it, and the issue is you can't really borrow them, can you? Well, it's quite hard.
Yeah.
I went to the UK launch of it. I was surprised that I could. No. The launch was a static launch.
Oh, was that the thing at Silverstone where you stood around? Yeah. They did invite me to that one actually, and when they said you're just going to stand around, I thought, maybe I won't bother.
Yeah, I thought it would be good to go because I've never really had, them on the channel. Same with the Aprilia. I thought it might be a good thing to go to, and it was nice to sit on the Stelvio because I could flat foot it.
Yes.
Which was extremely surprising for an adventure bike.
Is the Stelvio the one with the little flaps that come out, or am I thinking of the previous
little flaps, little flapperoos? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the active aero.
Yeah, active. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
is that the one?
Yeah, that's the V100, Ed, isn't it? The V100.
The Mandello.
Mandello. Yeah.
I thought I didn't recognise that in the.
I get those confused.
Presentation.
I think the general consensus is those flaps make absolutely no difference whatsoever, don't they? They're just like a couple of bits of plastic that ping out when you go over 50. I like the idea.
Yeah, they probably do a little bit of weather protection. They're not downforce or anything. It's about a bit of weather protection, isn't it? They probably do help a little bit, but it's a bit gimmicky.
Exactly.
It's a little bit gimmicky.
Let's just have
maybe we'll add that to our list of pointless accessories.
Yeah, exactly right. Can you do a video of going riding in the Italian Alps? Anyone fancy doing that for Moto Focus?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Can you send us some cash, Moto Focus, so we can afford the hotels and fuel?
Does matter up, didn't it?
And in my case, a new shoulder, so I can actually ride for longer than half an hour. That'd be good.
Damn.
Right, what else have we got coming in then? Let's see if we've got anything good. Shout if you got something that we've not covered or looks interesting. Any retro ride videos coming on TMF from Superbike Factory? Enjoyed those. Bought my blade from there. Sadly, not Nikki. Inexplicably to me, Superbike Factory stopped sponsoring me channel. What are they thinking? They're always welcome back. And the great thing with Superbike Factory was the fact that it gave me access to older bikes. And whenever I did what I was calling my classic bike reviews, they always got great views. In the sort of upper, above 50,000 views, which for me is pretty good. So no idea why they pulled out and said we're not doing that anymore. It wasn't just me. In fact, all YouTubers, they stopped. They just said they were having a change of marketing policy. I think I see them more now in MCN and things like that. So I think maybe that's where they're focusing it. But anyway, so no, sadly, no more of those. Because again, a bit like Moto Guzzi's, borrowing second-hand bikes is really difficult, isn't it? For all sorts of reasons. I mean, people, I'm sure you all get this as well. People very kindly saying, "Oh, if you want to borrow my bike, you can do." But it's fraught with insurance and all sorts of issues.
And it's not even just that. Imagine if you crash someone's pride and joy.
Well, there's that.
Like, insurance aside, I would just be mortified.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Especially if it's something rare or unusual.
Yeah, which often they are, aren't they? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's the problem because the same here. I've been trying to get on used bikes for ages and go just saying $5,000. You go to a dealer, which bikes you're choosing for £5,000, which are the best bikes. But it's really hard. Dealers don't want to let you on their second-hand fleet for some reason. I think a lot of them, the mileage is fixed. And once they come in and they've checked them, they fix the mileage. They don't want the mileage changing. Yeah, I've tried it multiple times to get on these bikes.
It's odd though, isn't it? Because given the sort of reach that we all have, if they want to sell a second-hand bike, if you went to them and said, "Give us the worst bike you've got, is the absolute minger on your fleet,"
when you've had it for 2 years, can't get rid of it.
The chances are you might sell it for them. I'm not saying
it's been in stock like 650 days or something. No, Paddock Motorcycles, who I actually do a bit of work with, they're very good at that. They were very clever. So they allowed me to ride their XSR 900 with the racer kit on, a black one. And I looked on YouTube and no one had done anything on that specific bike with that kit. So I thought this could either flop because no one's interested in it, or it could do really well because no one's done it yet. And there's like a gap in the YouTube market algorithm for me to ride it. And it went absolutely bonkers. People were like so torn, like whether they liked it or hated it, but it got loads of engagement and they ended up selling it, which isn't a surprise because I'd buy it. I think it looks pretty sexy.
Yeah.
Just a disclaimer, I did not get commission for that for everyone who thinks I probably did. But yeah, it was nice of them to let me ride a used bike from the second-hand stock. And
the other problem with riding used bikes is often you realise how damn good they are, because I haven't been riding for that long. I've only been riding for 13 years. So a lot of bikes that people say, oh, do you remember the RD 250 or whatever? Means nothing to me. Well, it sort of does now, or was it the 350 perhaps? I'm looking at Greg because he's obviously a man who knows his bikes. So you get on these older bikes, which might be $4,000 or something, and you think actually this thing is an absolute monster. I've ridden some real good second-hand bikes, and it just makes you think you just don't have to buy new all the time, do you? We were talking about the silly prices of bikes earlier, but again, I don't want to give them free advertising after they outrageously dump me. But you can get to the Superbike Factory. They got thousands of motorcycles. You can just peruse around all day on a Saturday, and you're going to find something there you like for not a huge amount of money. So second-hand is good. It's a shame we can't get more access to them, isn't it?
So what would you get, Andy? Question for you. You've got 10 grand in your pocket. Let's go around everyone. You've got 10 grand, or let's say 8 grand to spend on a used bike.
On a used bike, right?
What are you buying? Let's say you've got nothing in your garage at the moment and you can't say GS. What are you buying?
Okay, that was that one.
8 grand.
8 grand, and one bike does it all. You got 8 grand.
Are you talking about an old bike, Chopsy? Are you talking about something a bit older?
Anything for 8 grand. Could be a new one. Could be something new. GSXR 8S or something.
I must admit, I did like the 8S. That would be. I would seriously consider that. That was a great bike. I've a bit fallen in love with Ducati Monsters, actually. If you can get a second-hand one of them, I don't know why. Although thinking about it, I think maybe I do love a street triple knee, and for 8 grand you can get a pretty good one. You couldn't get the newest one, but you get a not very old one, couldn't you? I'd probably go street triple, light, agile, fun. Okay, maybe not the best to do long tours on, but for the sort of riding I do most of the time, which is nipping around the lanes within 10 miles of my house, then I'd go street triple. What about you, Kate?
For me, it'd probably be from if I've got one bike to have from a practical perspective of a bike that I can move around with ease, probably just something like a street triple or like a 690 Duke, because I had one of them and I freaking loved it. Just ran out of puff a bit too quick for me, but everything else about it was wonderful. It sounded like a dirty, wet fart under a tunnel when you go brah, brah, and that doesn't sound appealing.
To me, Kate.
It doesn't sound appealing, but weirdly it was. Or maybe something like a 790 Duke. I don't know, maybe just something like a middleweight, or like an older MT-09. I don't know, just something like that would probably, for that price range, maybe.
Yeah. I hesitated to say pan-European, actually. I think that'd be a pretty good all-rounder, but it's a bit boring, isn't it? Sorry, Chopsy, what did you have? Yeah,
that's a good question. I asked a question, I'm not even sure I'd have. I think it'd be some sort of supermoto, maybe like the 1100 Hyper, which I've already got, something like that. Or
you can't have one you've already got. You made the rules up for this game.
No, yeah, I did make the rules. No, I just said no GSs, didn't I?
Oh, okay.
It'll be some sort of supermoto, I think, because I love the supermoto. It's comfortable. Yeah, that's what I'd go for. Something like that. What about you, Greg?
Well, I don't know. For 8 grand, I think probably an NTO9, something like that, or even, indeed, I think the all around. But I'd like to get like an Aprilia RS250. I know they're not very practical, but something like that would also really appeal. Sort of a bit of a two-stroke, plenty of power, and just a bit of fun for buzzing around on. But probably can't get it for 8 grand now. I think they're a little bit more than that, probably about 10 to 12, depending on the height.
You might get yourself a project. You might get yourself a project
maybe for 8 grand, and then find the money over a period of time, something like that. So,
somebody said,
a lot of people comment
trophy first. Oh, sorry, John. Say again.
Yeah. Sorry, I might go MT09 as well.
Yeah.
If I could push to the SP, probably could get a Gen 1 SP for that sort of money, couldn't you? And that's a great fun bike. That's almost a supermoto.
How much are the new ones now then? The SP MT09s?
I don't know. I don't think they've announced a new one. have they?
11?
I think
11-ish?
they're.
I would
Oh,
guess about
11-8. 11-8.
Okay, yeah.
11-8-10.
But this day and age, quite a
Exactly.
good bike, isn't it? Quite a good. I mean, I know I'm not belittling 11.8, but a good bike for that money, I think. Definitely.
I can see we've still got Teapot commenting. He obviously hasn't checked his email in the last 5 minutes. Check your mail, Bruce. Right, carry on.
Come on, Bruce. Come on, we need you.
There you go, 11.8 for the MT09. Somebody's just put it up there. SP.
Oh, good.
11.8.
Good. Excellent. It's great, isn't it, that you can ask.
Is that the 24 bike? Is that the 24 bike, Jim, or the 23 bike?
24 is
Join us,
11, 8, 10, I think.
Is that the 24 bike?
Yeah.
Neil Lampton says, "How about a fizzy? I'm not sure you get one for £8,000."
Well, fizzy? Probably not. Probably not. Did you used to have a fizzy, Greg? You had a fizzy, didn't you? You had a fizzy for a while, didn't you?
Far too quick for you.
Sadly, I do remember fizzies because I wasn't allowed to have one.
Bit fizzy with the pedals and everything.
Yeah, pedals intact.
Good idea, that pedals. There you go.
Mike
When
said
you
hi-
keep the keyless ignition packed up, you can pedal at home. You're fine.
Mike said Hypermotard 821, one of the best bikes he's ever ridden, and I rode it too, and it is freaking wicked bike, that. Wicked.
Yeah, good bike. They're really good.
Yeah,
Really
although
good.
the
I do
821
like
clutch
that.
was very on-off. Sometimes it was on, sometimes it was off. You just would never know when.
You sounded very knowledgeable, Kate. How long have you been riding? I should know this.
Since 16, and I'm 32 now. I'm an old girl. Nearly 33.
I can't work out, but
Neither can I. That's why I just said the dates and not actually worked out the maths.
Half
Because
your life, then, Kate, yeah?
yeah, half the life, yeah. I'm not that clever.
A long time.
So how have we worked out where we've got some of these viewers coming from? I usually like to just get at who's the furthest away person watching. So I'm assuming a lot of these people are in the UK that are cropping up here. But if you think you might be a long way away from us, i.e. not in the UK, can you just let us know where you are? Because it always amazes me. Nothing to do with bikes. It just amuses me to find out where people are watching.
Singapore.
And what time of that is. Sorry, Greg?
Somebody's just said Singapore.
Oh, well,
Sydney, Australia.
Oh my God.
Someone from Sydney.
Jesus,
Bloody
mate.
hell.
nicely done.
California. Someone's
Of
in
course.
California.
It is April the 1st, so they might just be making it up.
Yeah, but it's after 12 o'clock,
It's
isn't
like
it?
the
So.
lunchtime, isn't it?
Yeah, but that rule doesn't always seem to hold true in my house. I don't know what that is.
Maybe they just like to
I'm
prank
pretty
you.
damn good at fooling everybody in my house, and I lay low until lunchtime. As soon as I've sorted it out, I'm out of there, and no one gets me because I'm on point when it comes to April Fools. But then they seem to think if it's after 12 o'clock, it's all right to do it. It's not, is it?
I think
Yeah.
so.
It might be right. It's wrong. Anyway,
It's wrong. It's the law. The dark side of Mars.
talking of topical things, this clock change, which absolutely, I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm not good with jet lag, but just changing an hour, how can that make such a difference to the way you feel in the day? Getting up this morning before 9 o'clock was a real effort. But what I was going to mention was, and again, first world problem because I've got a number of bikes in the garage, a bit like Chopsy, but of course you've got to change the clocks on your bike, haven't you? Because they don't normally, unless you've got a very sophisticated one, they don't do it via satellite and change themselves. What a pain that is, isn't it?
I never
If you're a
changed
summer
them.
rider like me, if you're a summer rider like me, Andy, you just leave them on the summer setting, and then they're always right. You ain't got to
There you
worry.
go.
have you? That's the
I must
answer.
admit, I said to Carol earlier, oh God, I've got to go and change all the clocks on the bikes. Every one you have to refer to the manual because they're all different, aren't they? And they're a pain. You have to press sort of buttons 17 times and then it all goes back to where you started and it's a nightmare. And before you know it, you've changed the riding mode and everything else. But yeah, I just, to be fair, they're probably still set from last time. So maybe it's not such a big deal. One of life's little problems, isn't it? Right, what else have we got here?
Timbuktu.
Gabon, GA. Excellent. Georgia. Love it in Georgia. Need to ride there. Iowa. Oh, we've got quite a few from the US. Newquay, Wales. Good. What else? Timbuk 3. I'm liking that. Excellent.
Calgary, Richard from Calgary.
So has anybody got any particularly excellent YouTube videos they've enjoyed recently? I've already said what mine is, Greg's review of the Africa Twin.
Oh, shush.
So anything that maybe people haven't seen before, people that you watch that maybe hasn't got, don't have much publicity yet that you think should get more? Let's give a shout out for anyone that you think's good.
I like watching Tim Roddy rides.
Yeah, Tim Road does some cracking
No,
videos. I don't know why he hasn't got more subscribers, Tim. I don't know why he hasn't got more
I'm
subscribers.
sure he'll get them. I'm sure he'll get.
He's a lovely fella. He makes great content, you know, exciting, funny, really funny guy. I don't know why he hasn't got more.
The reason why I smirked when you mentioned his name was because I thought he's somebody who doesn't need any help. He'll do absolutely fine without us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because he is great. If you don't watch Tim Rodey rides, why not? You're missing out. He's very good. Obviously not as good as us lot. Otherwise, he'd be on it. But on the off chance you are watching Tim, we'll get you on at some point. Unlike Freddie Dobbs says Motor Matt, but again, he's somebody who doesn't need our help. He's absolutely flying. He'll be way ahead of all of us within a year. Yeah. But his content isn't just motorcycling, is it? Of course, it's at the moment he's out in Goa or somewhere, isn't he? Somewhere exotic.
That's right.
And,
I think he's got the 2 channels, isn't he? He's got a car channel, I think, and a bike channel. Tim.
Freddie hasn't got a car one, has he?
Sorry. I thought you were talking about Tim still. You've moved on.
No. Freddie's got a podcast one and his new usual one. He's done very well in that he's sort of made it into a lifestyle thing, isn't he? Which seems to go down well. I wondered if you'd stumbled across anyone that you thought needed more airtime. That was all, but we'll come back to that on another.
Not really.
Right, what else have we got coming up? Mr. Darcy and the Old Man, someone says, well, I'm a big fan of theirs because I like a retro bike and they focus on those. So if you're a retro fan, you've probably found them already, Mr. Darcy and the Old Man. I'm a fan of theirs. Yeah,
I was on a launch with Darcy recently and everything went wrong for him. It was such
you lent him your tripod, didn't you?
I lent him everything. I literally, as we were about to go out, I looked at him and water was pouring out of his backpack. I was like, Darcy, that's not a good sign. No. He opened it up and his water bottle top had come off and it was all over his camera. It was everywhere, but I brought a spare backpack, so I ran up, got it in. But yeah, everything went wrong for him. And
he lost his luggage as well, didn't he? So, the only thing he got was the only thing he had with him was the camera, wasn't it? He lost his
and microphones.
What a nightmare. Can you imagine?
But he made a real good video saying that everything went wrong for him. Like his production quality is stunning, like how he color grades things. And big respect that he actually got that video out because some people, lesser people would have just let their head scramble, you know.
Put that title on, wasn't it? It's Can It Get Any Worse Than This? Is always a good title that people click on.
Exactly. You got to make the most of a tragedy or a problem.
Yeah, he did well.
He did good. Good. For sure.
Right,
so maybe Chopsy, you can use that as your title for the next one I do for you. Then can it get any worse than this?
That'd be a legit title as well, wouldn't it? You could defend that. You could defend that against the clickbait comments.
Yeah.
What else have we got? Crew 20-mile-an-hour limits tear the signs down from Neil Lampton. Have you come across much 20-mile-an-hour limits where you live?
Well, I can go to London.
It's not too bad.
A bit in Wales.
London's terrible, isn't it? London's terrible.
We have a few around here now, but they're not that pervasive. Obviously, Wales is a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? But go on, Kate, go for it.
Oh no, someone just said hi, Kate, Flyer, Chopsy, and Greg. So I just said hi. I just mouthed it.
The trouble with 20 limits now is push bikes are doing about 20, aren't they? So it's really hard to get past them without speeding. And so you sort of just sit there at the same speed as a cyclist. It's a bit, it's a bit odd. It's a bit of a nightmare, I think, to be honest.
It's crazy. A shout out to Kate's cat, the first cat on a TMF live stream.
Jasper.
Yeah, Jasper. Yeah. Oh, they don't do that, do they?
Oh, you can't hear,
yeah. So, it's funny, the cyclist thing, because not only do they do 20, they sometimes do well over 30 downhill, as I've noticed, because I've gone past a speed camera with a cyclist overtaking me. I've been doing spot on 30 and the camera's flashed. So I'm still waiting. Oh, no. Yeah. So, who's going to get the ticket on that one?
Oh
so that was outrageous.
It's not going to be him, Andy. It's not going to be him anyway. That's the point.
Exactly. I caught him up and said, don't speed limits apply to you, or shouting through my helmet at him. I mean, he was bombing along. I mean, push bikes do. And in fact, I don't think the speed limits necessarily do apply to them because I had a comment once that said, apparently, if you don't have a speedo on your bike, you can't be done for speeding. Which sounds like it could be true, doesn't it?
Don't
know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anyway, there we go. Right, what else we got? How long have I got you chaps for, by the way? We've been on for over an hour, so we might need to bin it in a minute.
I'm easy. Yeah. Easy like Sunday morning.
Okay. Well, I didn't like to say, Kate, there has been rumours. Doesn't worry about speed limits. That's not right, is it? You've got one of those special speedos, though, haven't you? I have one occasionally that goes a bit fuzzy. at high speed.
Yeah, the auto fuzz speedo. Yeah, they're quite handy though sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah. I also read, and this may be incorrect, that if you're going to be done for speeding, unless it's some ridiculous speed and you're riding dangerously, if you're maybe doing like, I don't know, 70 and a 60 because you're on an overtake and you do 70 for a short period. If that sort of crime, which let's face it, it is, and I'm not encouraging crime by any means, but if you do that, and I think the police have to issue a ticket within something like 28 days of the offence being committed. So if you, like me, oh, that cat's not so nice, is it? So if you're like me, you are you record your videos well in advance. Mine are often a month, 2 months in advance. Then by the time somebody says, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing 70 and a 60," well, it's probably the police aren't going to do anything anyway. And also, I've had policemen say to me, "Look, if you think that the police have got resources and time to go through looking at YouTube videos and trying to work out what speed you're doing and then prove that you were doing it, think again." So
I think they do for some. I think they've tried to make examples of some people, haven't they? I think like Joe Achilles had a video a little while ago, and I think they spent something.
But they
like
went to town.
Went to town trying to make an example of him. I think he got away in the end, but it cost him a lot of money with lawyers and court.
Cost him his life savings.
But what was he doing?
I think the worst thing is the dash cam. The dash cam, the way you can submit your dash cam footage, but you can be prosecuted by someone else's dash cam footage, which I think is ridiculous. And I was saying the other day, I've seen some people have been prosecuted for doing sort of a dodgy overtake on a corner. Well, if you're on an intercom and someone in front says it's clear, you can go, and you were to overtake, but someone had some dash cam footage, they then submitted to the police to say, "Look at this dodgy overtake this person's done."
The only trouble is when they then say, it's when they then say April Fools.
Yeah.
It's say.
Yeah, but it's like, but I hate when someone says it's clear you can overtake when you're on the intercom. I never do it anyway because it's it's good practice.
I do, but I have implicit trust in Mike.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I've got life insurance. Maybe it's a ploy.
Yeah, he's trying to bump you off.
Maybe he's trying to get rid of me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield, that one, isn't it? I think technically you could be prosecuted, so best not to advertise this stuff. But at the same time, I think in reality it's quite difficult for them to do it. But yeah, I'm sure once in a while, maybe picking out somebody to make an example of is probably the way to do it most cost effectively.
I think it's probably the people that take the mick too much, the ones that F around and then end up finding out.
Yes, yeah.
Like. Obviously, that odd thing. Sometimes we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Of course.
We've just got to be bright enough to not include them in our videos.
Let's face it. We edit our videos. It's not hard to do, is it?
Exactly. But I think when there's a lot of people that think it's cool and fun and hip to be riding around like absolute gimplings, and then the police are just like, "Hang on a minute, you're taking the mick now. Come on."
I often get accused of not riding a bike properly, particularly if it's a sports
Same.
bike. People say, "Why are you just poodling around the lanes? You need to
don't
give it some
rev
willy."
it.
And it's like, why do you think I'm not giving it some willy?
You should be on a scooter. You can't make the most of that bike.
Exactly, it's crazy.
All right, Nigel, sit down.
It's hilarious. Right, have we got any other comments coming in that we need to address?
Oh, we've got loads of them.
44 Teeth got a video delisted on YouTube because someone reported dangerous riding and it was a minor white line infraction.
I think that was Boothie. I want to say it was Boothie. And I thought they demonetized it for an overtake. It was a bit spirited.
Right,
I might be wrong.
Delisted here. Demonetized is slightly different, isn't it? But I don't know what they mean by delisted, to be honest. Maybe it's demonetized. That's true. What else have we got?
So someone's asked, what were our first bikes? What were our first bikes we ever owned? The picked on two wheels has asked that question. So I'll go first since I picked it out. My first one was an MBX 50. Little when I was 16, little 50cc bike. It was heavily modified, had a tiny rear sprocket. It'll do 70 mile an hour, mate. This bike, it'll do 70 mile an hour. Yeah. Not with me on it. It won't do 70 miles an hour. But I had it for about 2 weeks. Well, I don't think I had it. I think I rode it about 3 times, and I swapped it with a mate who had a DT50, which was properly geared. So that was my first one.
Cool. What about you, Greg?
You got me going. So I had a Kawasaki AR50, which is pretty much like the MBX, woefully slow. But it looked good in its day, but it was pretty slow and pathetic, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was good fun. And I did all the usual mods, big board it and ruined it basically. And that was the end of that. But it was good fun for a few months, basically.
Fantastic. Well, I wasn't allowed a bike when I was a kid, so I had to wait till I was a student and could surreptitiously buy one with a couple of mates who had no money. So we happened to be at this, we lived near a village green in Thames Ditton, and there happened to be like some sort of fate thing on, and there was this moped for sale, which the three of us decided we could club enough grant money together to buy. So we bought this thing. It was a non-runner, and we spent all afternoon getting it to run. It just needed a bit of cleaning out and constant turning over. It was made by Pooch. Do you remember them? It's basically a moped.
Yeah.
So I assume it's a 50cc.
Pooch Maxi. Pooch Maxi.
Something like that. We used to pile it in the back of my-
Greg's favourites.
That's it. And I think it even had a basket on the front. And we used to pile it in the back of my old Ford Escort and take it down the local woods and just pile it around. It was great fun. We had a lot of fun on it. But so that's a bit sad, isn't it? But the first proper one I got was after I passed my test this right way round, and it was a Yamaha Diversion 650. Do you remember those?
Oh, I had a non-third diversion. I had the XJ6 then.
That's it. Mine was the XJ6S, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Fairing, yeah. It looked quite good actually, but it was 4-cylinder and ultimately a bit boring.
Oh, it was freaking heavy, boring, and just did not set your loins on fire.
I learnt my lesson because I bought it brand new. I think when I bought it, I think it was about 2011. I think I paid £6,500 for it with panniers and boxes and all the gubbins. And I sold it 4 months later when I decided it was boring for about £3,000. So somebody got an absolute bargain.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I learned.
I'll have to look it up, you two. I don't know what that is, honestly.
Probably for the best, Greg's. Probably for the best.
It probably is.
You were probably buying GSXR thousands at the time, Greg, not these.
But I'll have a look anyway.
The XJ6 was like a competitor to the ER6. Do you remember those?
It was.
Yeah,
it was Yamaha's answer to that, but it was 4-cylinder.
And it was so boring.
So it was boring, but as a new rider, it was super smooth, and I thought that was what you wanted. I had a test ride on the ER6 and thought,
that's twin, is it? Parallel twin was the ER6.
That's right. Yeah. And looking back, that would have been the better bike to have. But
Judith Johnson, Andy, has asked, is Carol going to come and say hello?
We need Carol in our lives.
I'm sure.
Where
is the Queen?
She's a bit bashful.
There must be a clap around the head.
We want Carol.
Well, I'll leave talking.
Carol.
Don't big her up too much. She might have much to say. I'll go and see if I can find her. Be back in a moment.
She's such a highlight. She's such a babe. We love her.
We need a bit of Carol. I'm surprised she's not been hanging around already.
I know, like peeping in. We need her in our lives.
We do. Let's just having a look what we've got in the
Sean's
comments.
He's going into the basement to get her.
Unlock her from the kitchen sink. She's locked to the kitchen sink at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
There's a question here from Neil Lamberton. Do you guys think the cost of classics bikes is coming down due to the cost of living crisis? I wasn't even aware that
I'm not following the market, to be honest.
Was coming down now. I hope so, because I'd love a few classics myself if they did come down a little bit. But I don't think so. Any sort of, if they come down a little bit, it'll be short-lived and it will go up again. A short-lived sort of blip. So if they are coming down, get one now before they go up again.
Yeah. Ian Batchelor said, what was Kate's first bike? I'm actually embarrassed to tell you all.
Oh, yeah, we didn't hear that. Go on then.
So my dad, when I was 16, bought me, and I can't complain because whose dad buys them a moped at 16? I was very fortunate. But it was a Boation that he bought from a police auction. Have you ever heard of a Boation?
No.
I'm sure it's a Boation Chinese thing, right? It was bright blue and it had flames. Oh, Carol!
Hello. Hi. How are you? That's much better. I think you should have done the whole live thing, Carol.
It's the hair, isn't it?
Never mind, Andy. We wanted to see what you thought.
Well, no, I've got hair.
It's a great observation, Carol. We love that for you.
How are we all doing this evening, everyone?
Oh, we're great. We're good.
Very well,
how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just sat down to watch a film with our youngest.
Oh.
Who said, come back in a minute, will you?
Oh. Now we feel guilty because we've summoned you. And now you've got to get back to watching your film.
She's an adult. She's an adult.
Oh, okay, fair
adult.
Fair enough.
When's your bike test now? This is what we all want to know. When are you taking your bike test?
Well,
Before
me,
you've been
bike
out
test.
on the little SXS 125.
I don't do one. I would never admit it if I was going to take it. Oh, sorry, you're up there, not there. I know. Sorry. I'm just a wimp, really.
Oh, you've got this in the bag.
Oh,
You're a badass.
well,
I believe in you.
if it was
Get
the
it done.
weight of 125, the bike that you would ride, then I might be all right. But there's, I suppose I need to try, but we'll just see. I don't do stuff under pressure,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
No.
Well, don't tell anybody when you go for
Well,
it.
I
do
wouldn't
it
tell
on
anyone.
terms.
I wouldn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just had a ceremonial burning of the L plates. That's what would happen with it.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm quite a happy passenger, and I've always said this. And you know, if it stops raining, if and when, there's
One-
other calls on
one
my
day it will.
time rather than riding a motorbike. So
How can you say that on a flipping live stream?
I'm sorry, people. It's just
Unbelievable.
true. I was out on my bike Saturday morning at 9:15. Dedication for you. Going out. Really enjoyed it. Because there was no pressure.
No pressure. We love it.
There is nothing to prove.
Look at me. I'm going to read some comments while you're doing it.
Oh, anyway, yeah. So I'm really enjoying riding the little bike round.
Good.
And we'll just see. And then I would have to find a bike small enough for me to ride.
Bigger
What
bikes
about-
is a ride than
What
a bike.
about a Trident?
I know people say that, but it's true. It's the weight. And I know that Kate, you're so much younger. Anyway, we'll see.
If you can pick up a gold wing, you can pass your test.
Did he say,
Yeah.
yeah, we're picking this guy? And I did it. And I said, I'm going to back into it. And he went, oh, no. And then I thought, my back.
You did put your back out.
So did you have to pick up this gold ring, Cal? Did he just stand back and call
No,
his wife?
no,
in
no,
to pick
shoulder
up
for
his
mention.
gold
We-
ring?
Oh, we both of us fought this gold wing up. And now you pick it. I thought, I can't do this. I thought, I've got to lift this. And then shuffle forward.
Fair
But I
play.
backed into it.
I can't tell you what to do, can I?
Carol's secretly hench.
So, yeah. So I'd like to do my test at some point. My CBT runs out in October for the second time.
Nothing
How
wrong
many
with that.
times can you renew it these days?
Oh, you
can
can
you just
you
renew
just
it
keep
again?
going.
Forever.
Just keep
You can
going.
keep just doing it. Can you?
Yeah. The problem was the first time I did it in the December, and then we had COVID, so I didn't even get on a bike for 6 months, and I'd never even sat on a bike till the day before the original CBT, and I had to ask Andy what the controls were. I had absolutely no idea. I'm a Philistine. I'm a motorbike Philistine. I know nothing.
I remember I think back in my day there was an equivalent to a CBT. I don't know if it was called CBT. It may have been called the CBT. You might better know. You might know, Greg. But I remember indicating left and turning right. I remember completely screwing it up, and it was
Did you
just like,
pass?
I did pass, of course. Yes,
Blimey.
it was quite easy in those days.
We were out the other day about a week ago, and we came into a roundabout coming into Great Missenden down from one of the villages. A roundabout I'd done loads of times before. Thought it was clear. No, slowed down. Obviously slowed down too slow. And then went to pull out, drifted out into the middle of this busy roundabout. This massive truck had done a U-turn on this roundabout. Nobody ever goes around that roundabout. And I was stuck with thinking, I'm going to die.
Oh no.
And luckily there was enough room for him. And I'm thinking, I think that's an instant fail, guys. And I've never done it before. You live and learn, don't you?
You do. You do.
I
It's all
still
practice. Just keep at it. Practice. You'll get there.
So I noticed it was International Women's Day the other day.
It was months ago.
Whenever it was, and it got us thoughting about the number of women motorcyclists. Now we have 2 female motorcyclists here. I thought it might, just out of interest, Kate, I'm sure you study your analytics a lot. What proportion of female viewers do you have on your channel?
I think I have 2%.
What? That's unbelievable. Even I have 4%. Chopsy, what about you?
I think we've got something like 15.7%.
Oh,
No, it's about 4%. It's about 4%.
Really? Oh, I feel like a failure.
That's interesting. Isn't it? I wonder why. Well, obviously they probably fancy me and Chopsy. Chopsy looks like Sean Connery, doesn't he? Exactly.
There you
like
go.
I had that the other. I was out for my morning walk the other day, and a lady went the other way, and she said, "You look like Sean Connery." I thought, I'm going to take that. Thank you very much.
No, I know what it is. They've seen Chopsy's AI Viking photo. Is it Viking or something?
The AI picture.
They've seen it. They've seen it.
It's all based on me, though. It's all
They're
based
flocking
on
to you. They're flocking.
When we were out the other day,
you
we
look
had
like Sean Connery. I thought, I'm having that. That made my day, that did.
Yeah, you're right. We were out riding, maybe another time last weekend. And for some reason, we had to go to the edge of Uxbridge, which actually isn't that far from us. And we went round the roundabout at the bottom of the.
It was to get some pH minus.
We won't go there.
Okay.
We had to go to a garden centre, and I was on the bikes, like, what can I fit in the top box? Anyway, and we went round this roundabout at the bottom of the A40 at Denham. Light, and these loads of lady bikers went by. I was like, oh my god, there's loads of them. There's about 6 of them out. It was fab to see.
And you don't often see groups of women riding, do you?
And they were.
But it was interesting because they were all on like cruisers and stuff.
Well,
Presumably because they were low bikes. It's a shame that so many women can't ride because the bikes are so tall.
Well, I think a lot of that's mindset and confidence and experience.
True.
100%. Because I'm living proof. Because I'm a short ass and I'm hopping around on giants.
Remind me how tall you are?
5'4".
Yeah, you're taller than me.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for people that are smaller than me because I'm like, I find it difficult. Never mind being smaller or having a shorter inseam. Like, my heart does go out to people. But the people like Jocelyn Snow, I mean, I know she's like a rare example because she is incredible on a bike, but she is tiny. And I'm just like, I'm in awe of that woman because I don't know how she does it. I mean, practice, obviously, but I wish I could be that person.
Yeah, I still have problems with left-hand bends, but I put that down to somebody else.
You'll get there.
It's like, if I don't think about it, I'm fine. If I think about it, oh my god, it's a left-hand bend. What do I do? Counter stew, and it all goes to pot.
Oh, don't worry.
I like that. Just see that, Chopsy. What proportion are gay or trans? Excellent comment. No, they all count. I'm not going to do a what's her name from Harry Potter.
And this is
J.K. Rowling. Don't
J.K.
talk about J.K. Rowling. Oh.
just responding to one of the comments.
Okay, sorry. Have a read then.
Oh, that's what I was reading.
I'm going to hustle you off in a minute. You're pinching me limelight.
Apparently, this Greg who's drawing in the female viewers to the channel. So give it another 12 months, and we may well see a 15% female contingency.
Pins and needles.
We have Judith, who I think was the lady who bumped into Greg at Tesco's the other week, who had a little confab. She's put Greg with love hearts on the screen.
Really?
Greg, you've pulled. Your coat, lad.
Greg's done a few more first rides, Andy, and we may see my female viewers going in that direction.
There's method in madness then. I understand now why you did it. Very clever move.
It's clever. Oh, you got it.
Big brain move, big brain.
Get a little bit of eye candy in, like Greg. How much do you charge, Greg?
Just trying to bring a bit of glamour, Chopsy, aren't we? That's all. A little bit of glamour.
Well, it's good to see that females get together at the ABR festival.
It is.
That's a good do, isn't it?
The best.
It is a good do.
I assume you're going again, Kate?
Oh, hell yeah. We won't miss it for the world. It was amazing.
You bought your ticket, so I can get you 5% off TMF 5.
Yeah, we've got it. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
But do you actually go out and watch the bands in the evening, Kate? Or are you so tired that you just go back to your tent or vehicle and just go crash?
Well, I unfortunately missed the quiz last year and I was absolutely raging about that because I wanted to watch it because I love you guys. I'll let you down.
Special.
I might need you to help present it this year.
Yeah.
Hey, if you need me, I'll help you, of course.
Excellent.
But,
You're doing the quiz, Andy. You're doing the quiz night at ABR this year?
Yeah, I've done it the last couple of years, actually. It was a massive success last year. In fact, hugely oversubscribed. We didn't have enough quiz papers.
Yeah. Well, we had loads of pencils. We had like 2 boxes of pencils, but not enough quiz papers to hand out. which was just bizarre. So we asked for more papers.
But it was good fun, and so we're going to do it again. I did it with Bruce and
Richie.
who's the other fella with the beard? Oh,
Richie.
him.
Is that the fella?
But they're not. They're
No,
not.
Richie's
The fellow with the beard and hair. The fellow with the beard and hair. Most of us have no hair.
Careful.
I think Mike's tempted, to put Nobblies on the jigsaw and take it round.
He should.
Sounds like a Mike thing to do, to be fair.
It would definitely get some airplay, wouldn't it? You'd see lots of pictures of it in next year's ABR magazine.
That's true. I mean, the man's done Erzberg, he's done Lagars, Erzberg twice. So if anyone can handle it, I'm sure it's Mike. And then you get me on it and I'll probably flip the poor thing. I'm not the best.
Just having a little look at the comments, seeing what else is coming in. Looks like we might be running out. Prince Andrew says, hi, Chopsy.
I don't know what that's about. I've got no
What the
clue
higgity
that's
heck?
about. I've just seen that one.
Chopsy just denying our knowledge.
Yeah, good friend of yours.
I've got nothing to
Good
do with I've got no affiliation with Prince Andrew and what he gets up to. I'd just like to add that.
Oh well, I'm going to love you and leave you because I have a date with a couple of tea.
Go on then. You've sucked me airtime. Come on.
Lovely to see you, Carol. Lovely
Yeah, good to see you, Carol.
Be professional.
I'll have to pop over soon for one of your fantastic brews.
Can't wait to see you at ABR. Hopefully. Oh, lovely. Bike World have just done a jigsaw on Nobblies, haven't they? Did you see that, guys? With Chris Northover ripping it up.
Chris Northover, he's a legend.
He's
a legend,
mental,
Chris
isn't he?
Northover.
He's mental.
What a guy! What a guy he is. Such a nice fellow as well, Chris Northover. He's absolute
nice.
legend.
Rider review. I must just say, yes, TMF 5 will get you a discount for ABR Festival.
Have you got a discount, Kate? Have you got a discount to plug? We don't want Andy getting all the revenue.
I've no code.
No code.
I did last year, but I don't this year.
Did you ask for one?
I think the communication was a while ago with Ashley from ABR, so maybe I need to have a check and see what he actually said. But he said, "Did you want to go again?" Because I really enjoyed it. I'm like, hell yeah, best festival ever.
David Bowers here says, make your own YouTube event. I must admit, I think I had a dream about this the other day. I was thinking about, because I do think, and obviously I'm talking amongst friends here who are in this game, so we're all going to be up for this, but I do think there is the opportunity, do you not, for a big YouTuber get-together, like a YouTube con thing. I don't know what the heck you would do there, but, amongst us, we could raise quite a lot of the higher profile YouTubers, couldn't we? In the motorsport world, nowhere else, obviously. We could probably get all the ones that people have seen. We all know them all, don't we? That's what I like about this YouTube game. We're all pals. It's not like we're in competition.
Yeah, I don't see it like that anyway.
Exactly. I mean, I know I'm better than you lot, and that's that. Let figures talk for themselves, so I have no fear. But it would be fun, and I'm thinking there's something there. But even if it was just like a meetup, but can you imagine if we did a meetup with, say, 10 of our closest YouTube buddies, and we said we're going to meet up somewhere? How many people would turn up? I think it might be quite a few.
You might get 10 or 20, at least 10 or 20.
At least 20.
We've still got 809 people watching this. So,
sheesh, we're doing all right.
It's crazy. We've been on for, an hour and a half talking rubbish, and we've still got that number of people. So I feel a little bit sorry that they, like us, have got nothing better to do this evening. But anyway, there we go. But
that's a very good idea. I'm going to be doing a little meetup this year with my friends at Helmet City. So a little bit of a plug. I will be announcing a little bit of a meetup down at Chichester at the Helmet City store, one of my sponsors. So we're going to have a meet down there. What, sorry, Andy?
Have they got a big car park?
So I missed it again. Say again.
Do they have a big car park?
No, they don't. So it could get rather busy. Perhaps, potentially, I don't know.
Well,
but yeah.
I was going to say it's a good job they asked you then. Blimey. Oh, he's leaving us.
I've got one of these 100-day coughs. It doesn't seem to go away.
Tell me about it, mate. I mean, I'm not one to moan or go on about my ailments, but that is part of my issue. I've been floored by this thing since February. Killer. Anyway.
Oh, that sucks.
Tell me about it.
Things. But you'll be pleased to know I got a date for my second operation on my shoulder.
When?
2 weeks' time.
Oh, that's quite quick.
Trouble is, I've got another issue that might mean that's going to be prevented. So
Oh,
I only found out about that one today, so never mind.
is that
Not
trying to
one looking
lift
for
up
sympathy
a
or anything,
heavy
but
bike?
annoyingly, I got the date for this op, and so I thought, right, I've got to film enough videos to cover 3 weeks at least of recovery until I can get on a bike again. So I've made all those, and now it looks like the op might be pushed back because of this other issue. So I've got to go. You know what it's like? I mean, no one else will care about this, but actually, if you're just knocking out a couple of YouTube videos a week, it's surprising how much scheduling and organisation that takes just to get bikes delivered or whatever. Or just
100%.
there's a lot more to this game than meets the eye, isn't there?
A lot more.
And, God, when you've got a schedule and then it's thrown completely in the weeds, it's like, oh God, here we go again.
We all know you've got 6 months worth of videos all queued up on your schedule. 3 weeks isn't going to even touch.
I wish that was the case. I've got about a month's worth at the moment.
No, I'm video. I'm away week after next to Scotland. The Tiger 1200 launch. There's some updates to the Tiger 1200 for this year. I got invited to the launch, and it's in Scotland. So I'm taking the shots, and we're making sort of a week away in Scotland. I've got 3 days to edit 2 videos and get them ready to sort of cover my time away. And when I'm back is when that new XSR 900 GP launches. So I need to try and get some videos done in the bag, ready to schedule. I don't have the backlog you've got, Andy, of 6 months worth of videos there waiting, ready to go.
Oh, that's a dream right there.
Yeah, but I don't know. This is why I don't go to launches, though, because I don't know how you get the time to travel, spend a few days on just one bike, and then travel back again. To me, that's time I could have made a couple of videos. So I just can't afford that time. So yeah, interesting. Right, what have we got? What else we got coming in? Are they drying up, or how many have we got still? Well, we've got 786. You see, if it drops to 750, I think we have to call it a day, because that's we've outstayed our welcome at that point. Right, what's it say here? Hi all, keep up the great vlogs. Love them, says Mark Cook. Thank you, Mark. Cliff Webber, why not get in touch with Motorcycle Live for a YouTube air at the show? We did that before, didn't we? Did we all do that? Not you, Greg, because I don't think you were a thing then. But did you do that, Kate, at Motorcycle Live? They had a thing where you could turn up and, well, it was a bit rubbish, frankly.
What? How many years ago was this? A while ago.
About 6
years
ago.
I know what you're talking about, Andy. I did it. It was some social thing, wasn't it? It was
social hub.
Social hub. That's it, Kate.
Yeah. I did that.
All they gave us was like a little stall that said you can turn up here whenever you like and do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Out the way, it was absolutely rubbish.
Yeah.
We've got a great question, Andy. Sorry to interrupt you.
Far away.
A great question from David Bowers. Worst biking experience. Go on, Andy. What was your worst biking experience?
I need to think about that.
I'll go with mine. I've got a few spring to mind. I once had a little TZR 250 two-stroke, and where I lived, there's quite a local school. I was probably only 17, 18 at the time. I thought it would be quite cool to do a wheelie outside the school as they're all coming out. And I went to do a wheelie involved. I flipped it outside the school, skidded down the road, had to get up, pick the bike up, everyone laughing. No, that's probably my worst biking experience.
Somebody said dropping the H2. Do you remember when you did your?
My heart sank for you, Chopsy.
That was up there. And another one was I think this is one you mentioned before, Greg, when riding it was a dirt bike at night down the beach. Went off down the road. I just knew, but we sneaked it down to the beach to ride this thing. I think it was a KTM actually. I think it was a 500 KTM two-stroke dirt bike. It had a left-hand kickstart, so you had to kickstart it off the bike with your right leg. I could barely start this thing. I went buzzing off down the seafront, and my mates were listening. I heard me up through the gears, and then there's twang, and the silence. And basically, there was a gate across this bit of tarmac, and I'd gone straight into this gate, over the handlebars, landed flat on my back, the other side. And I just remember sort of coming around. I don't know, crashing on or anything like that. I was lucky I didn't kill myself. And I remember hearing my mates laughing, sort of footsteps running towards me. And there was me sort of like,
super sympathy there.
Straight over the handlebars. So that's up there as well.
What about you, Greg? Greg, go for it. More measures up.
Don't know, too many to mention, to be honest. I think I did an enduro day a few years ago, and I'm not an enduro rider by any stretch of the imagination. And I ended up crashing, busting my ribs, and then having to sort of make it back miles of more enduro riding with like ribs that were completely crushed. That was probably my worst. But it wasn't embarrassing, but it was just really painful and awful.
I can imagine that is not going to be a good. I don't think we're going to top that. That sounds grim.
It was grim. It was grim. It's put me off enduro riding for a long time, I think, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you live and learn, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Mine are all to do with dropping bikes. I mean, I've dropped. We've all dropped our bikes, haven't we? And I'm trying to think of a bike I haven't dropped that I own. If there's any that have been unscathed. Well, I haven't dropped my Kawasaki yet, but I'm sure it'll come.
Touch wood.
But the worst one that I did was as a Mile Street triple. I stopped there was an entrance to a field that looked like it'd be a perfect place for a thumbnail picture. It was in the summer, and the hedges were well grown up. And I got off the bike to sort of scout this field to see if I could ride in there all right. And I put the stand down, it's the usual thing, and leant the bike over, thinking I was on this pretty firm track. Turned out it had a real hard drop off at the edge of the track.
Oh, no.
Wood I didn't see, which was covered with foliage. And basically there's this big ditch. So the street triple with me on it went straight into this ditch. And I mean, how I didn't damage myself. You know, it's like in those situations, the adrenaline kicks in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I leapt away and I was absolutely fine. But now my bike is in this quite deep ditch and there's only me there. What the hell do you do? I mean, somehow I managed to wrestle it out with sheer brute force. But
adrenaline.
I didn't have any cameras on me. It would have been YouTube gold. So I missed out. So that was probably the worst one, but I've had plenty of drops.
I don't remember you mentioning that when you sold that bike. I think you remember when you sold it, you said it was perfectly well maintained, you know, never dropped, never crashed. I don't think I've almost got
honest. Give me proof of that. In fact, I said there was no damage. That one indicator broke, which shows how, you know, it was just, that was it.
Not bad, not bad.
That was okay. That was all right. I mean, the most embarrassing one was when I dropped my Panigale at school time. So I pulled out of, there's a T-junction quite close to where I lived. I jumped on the bike. It was winter. It was cold. And they're a big old V-twin, obviously, and it just hadn't warmed up. So it's pretty clunky. It's like riding a pneumatic drill. And it's that time of day when all the yummy mummies and their 4x4s are coming to the local school. I pull out on this thing, stall it, and immediately fall off. That was pretty embarrassing. And I couldn't help but notice the number that didn't come out to say, "Are you all right?" or "Help me lift the bike up."
Yeah.
But a bit like today's Goldwing experience, it was incredible. Absolutely no damage except for a bar end got slightly scratched, which I replaced, and that was it. Because the handlebars were like straight with the bike. No fairing touched the ground. No damage whatsoever.
Yeah, it's obviously designed for that, isn't it? It's quite, you know, they've obviously anticipated these knobheads having these Goldwings and chucking them about the place, and you got away with that, mate.
How about you, Kate?
How long have you got? I've had a few.
Yeah.
So notably, a memorable one was me and Mike went to Germany in winter, as you do. You know, it should have been a red flag when we set off and there was snow everywhere. It was like a scene out of a winter wonderland. Should have been enough to say, stop, don't progress, do not pass go or collect £200. But we did. And we were there and it was all great. We were having fun. We were cold, but I had heated stuff. So Mike was cold. I wasn't. But when we were on the way back, it was right close to where we've been staying. There was a single track, but it had passing places at either side, almost like a bus stop, you know, like where you pull in. And some of them were thawed out because cars were using them, and some of them weren't. And there was a Mercedes driver, and he was in the passing place that had been thawed out, and Mike went past. And then when it was my turn to come out, he just decided to go, thinking probably that I could use a passing place to my right, but it was complete sheet ice. So as he's driving at me, I'm like, fight or flight. Like, I don't want to get hit by this old man coming at me in the car. So I moved over to the right and down it went. So I was a bit like, whoa, Mike, I've crashed on the intercom. And he spun around like a boss, came to me. The car just drove off. And I was like, right, let's go. And then I looked and it was coolant dripping. And I was like, oh, the blue fluid of doom. It's over.
Oh, no.
So then I had to go pillion all the way back to Milton Keynes. And it was, when we woke up on the thermometer, it was minus 11.5. And Mike had no heated kit. And he was a freaking trooper. I was on the back. We got back. We made it. My lips were blue. I don't know how we made that.
Yeah, you've no place to be on a motorbike when it's minus 11, is it? No matter what.
It was wild, but Mike just handled it like a boss. Like, big respect to Mike. And then I've crashed in 2011. A car pulled out on me. I hit it like that, flew over the top. That was not great. And then
Oh,
at
the pressure it
Rivington,
comes
I had some trauma recently, off-roading Mike's Dominator. I just dropped it a bajillion times, and Mike had to come and rescue me on the GS and show me how it's actually done. And then I got chased from Manchester when I used to work there with some people on crosses when I was on my street triple. So there's lots of trauma in my life, but I'm still here.
Sounds like it. Well done for sticking with it. I actually think you mentioning that I had a 0 DSR once when they weren't common. It was the only demo bike in Europe, and I was the first person to ride it, and I crashed that. That wasn't very good. That was an awkward phone call to say, that demo bike you lent me, it's a bit bent. They were very good about it. It was just a road I've been around 1,000 times before, and the back wheel spun up, no traction control in those days. What's that about? An electric bike? If ever a bike needs traction control, it's one of those, isn't it? So that was
what mode did you have it in, Andy? What mode did you have it in?
It's important.
Very embarrassing. Somebody just asked a question, which I thought was quite good. They said, when we do bike reviews, and we all do them, why don't we talk about service intervals? Greg, over to you.
No, it's a very good point, actually, and they do vary. And actually, some of the troubles I've got with my KTM at the moment is not because I've missed the miles from a servicing point of view, but I was a little bit late in getting it serviced. So I missed the 12 months just because it's been laid up for the winter. So I think service intervals are something that are definitely on my mind. And I think, it's been an important lesson to make sure that if nothing else, get them serviced when they need to be done, because it's not just about miles, it's about time as well.
Cool.
So it's a good question.
So Chopsy, why don't we talk about them? I know why I don't, but why don't you?
I do talk about them. If there's like the V4 Multistrada, because that had like a massive, because that went to Valve Springs, that had a really big service interval, didn't it? So that was definitely one worth mentioning. Obviously, like the cost of servicing, all that sort of stuff as well. Because when we borrow a bike for 2 weeks, you don't necessarily have visibility of that, do you? That's the thing. I mean, ideally, if you do your research, you can find out. You can maybe ring around a few dealers, get some costs for servicing, but very rarely that happens.
That's what I was going to say. I used to do that.
We should be doing. That's something we should be taking the time to call round, get some quotes for services and stuff like that. Because I was quite surprised to learn that the GS needs a valve check every 12,000 miles. I know it's quite easy on that because, of course, you've got the boxer engine and the covers are just there. But it's a big factor. So you've got 3 GS services for your one service on your Multistrada. So the cost of the GS ownership is probably higher than the Ducati. So it's a good point, and we should do more of it.
I do agree with you. I think it's partly laziness on our part, because I did used to phone round dealers and ask how much it would cost. But what I found was, in doing that, often the bike I was reviewing was a very new bike, and they didn't actually know how much it cost. So that was a bit rubbish. So if you say on your video, I phoned my local Yamaha dealer and they had no clue how much it cost because they've not done one before. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was I used to also get insurance quotes. But again, it's pointless getting an insurance quote because it depends entirely on where you live, who you are, what your experience is and all that stuff. So that was pointless. So I stopped doing the insurance bits. And I think the servicing thing really came down to laziness and the fact that actually it's not that easy to find out. And then they varied wildly. You'd speak to one Ducati dealer and it'd be a completely different price to another one. So giving pricing for servicing just wasn't the thing. So I think, like you say, unless it's something unusual like that Multistrada was, like it's got an unusually long interval, it's probably not worth mentioning because I don't think we can really add much to it.
Yeah, and plus YouTube videos obviously around for years, aren't they? So what use will that be to someone who's searching it in 2 years' time? How much it cost 2 years ago? So there's that piece as well, I suppose.
It's true, and also manufacturers changed it, don't they? I remember when the Interceptor, the Royal Enfield Interceptor came out, they had to have servicing like every 2,000 miles. Everyone was up in arms about it. And I think that's now changed. I think it's now every 6. But it's just because it was a new bike, and I think they wanted to see how it fared before they committed, I think. So interesting on that.
I feel like the way I see it is if I'm interested in a bike, I'll watch reviews on it, see kind of what the general gist is of it. And if I want to take it any further, then it's up to me to do my due diligence to see whether cost of ownership is feasible, basically.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Because I know it can boil down to laziness, but it is like you say, so many times the service intervals aren't available because, like you say, it's a new bike. They don't even know. So sometimes I'll only really mention it, like you say, if something is a bit unusual, like something has particularly low service intervals, like Royal Enfields, for example, or if something has particularly long ones, like the Triumph. On
a similar vein, Happy Old Git asked, why doesn't anybody do pillion reviews? And again, that's sort of a similar one. I mean, I do occasionally do them, but it's rare.
Yeah, I do them occasionally.
But the
Wrote
reason,
Mike in.
mostly the reason that, well, there's two reasons why I don't do it. One, I can't get a pillion to go on the back. It hasn't got a top box, so Mrs. Fly won't go on the back of anything without a backrest or a top box. So that counts out most of them. Because again, if you get a press bike, you rarely get a top box on it. And then the other thing is, if you're getting press bikes, they rarely have insurance for pillions. So you're specifically barred, you know, so hence you can't do it, even if it's a bike that very much is designed for pillion use. So that's why that doesn't feature much, certainly in my videos, although I try to when I can. What about you, Chopsy? Have you ever done a pillion? I'm trying to think if I've seen you.
Well, once Greg had a bit of fun on the back of a gold ring once, wasn't it?
I knew I'd done something. Were you insured for that? Did Honda say yes, or did you just do it?
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, if you read the small print of the loan, it says you're not covered for pillions.
Yeah.
I know you tell me.
I guess if you were to come off and the worst happened, you know,
Greg can just run off into a bush somewhere. He was never there.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
Greg is the best
probably
pillion. He's not the best pillion I've ever had on the back.
It wasn't helped by the fact that you kept thrashing it either, was it? Really, just to try and scare me, which you did very well.
He's not the best passenger.
I'd love to go on the back of a gold wing. I imagine it's fantastic.
Now, the gold wing was brilliant, Andy, but then I went on a BMW K1600, which wasn't as nice.
Right.
And yeah, John was just like cracking the throttle and trying to get the front wheel to lift, and it was pretty horrendous.
I can imagine.
Oh, try being pillion with Mike. Jesus Christ.
I personally hate riding pillion. I've done it very rarely, and when I have, it's horrible, isn't it?
I did it once recently. I was on what was it now? It was the S1000R launch. It was a UK launch. It was during COVID. I ended up on the back with Steve Plater on, I think it was an XR I was on the back of. And there was some twisty roads, and actually you can get quite a lot of pleasure on the back. You can lean into the corners. It's very much like actually riding. I was quite surprised how much I enjoyed it. And Steve Plater was riding very nicely as well. You know, obviously he could have tried to scare me, but yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it on the back actually. And
I got an offer
being gained from being a pillion on the back.
I got an offer last year to do one of those back of do a lap at Silverstone on the back of a MotoGP bike.
I wouldn't do that.
Exactly. I was with a bunch of people when I got the mail and I read it to them. They were going, "Oh yeah, you've got to do that." I'm thinking, I just do not fancy this. So I politely declined, thinking, "No way, that would not."
No, I wouldn't do that. No. I wouldn't do that.
I was recently on the back of John McGuinness at Portimao.
Wow.
On a Fireblade. Yeah, like 170 on the long straight, clinging on for dear life. But John, with all respect, he's quite a girthy individual, so I couldn't lock my hands like this.
Oh right.
So I was just like this. I was just like this. Just like as we were like wheeling, I'm just like pushing all his organs into his body, poor thing. But yeah, I've did that, but I've also done a few pillion vlogs with Mike. So we did the Royal Enfield Interceptor where I went pillion on him and then we swapped, which was hilarious because how he trusts me, I'm such a liability, I have no idea. But we did that, and then we did it on the Hornet. And the Honda Hornet was because I broke my fingers, as Chopsy was there to witness at Almeria on track. I crashed. And I just got a Hornet dropped off, and I contacted them like, I can't really ride, but I'd still like to get some content for you. So can you insure Mike for pillion? And I'll jump on and we can get some content that way. And they were like, yeah, sure, no worries. So they sorted all that out. So that's quite nice. Yeah,
that's good. Some manufacturers are great at being very flexible like that. And also things like track days and stuff, if you want to do that, normally it's excluded, but I don't think it's that hard for them to say yes if they trust you. Yeah. I guess it depends what your track record is like in terms of whether you've trashed bikes in the past. I always try and get bikes back in the condition they gave them to me if I can, just in case. Somebody mentioned, there are a couple of people mentioned weird things in their helmet. 2 people have said they had wasps in their helmet once, which sounds nasty. I'm crashing talking. Any experience, Greg, of funny things in your helmet?
Yeah, I've had, well, not in the helmet, but I pulled up to Haitian once when I went to the TT and got a wasp in my jacket. And it was stinging me all over. It was so bad, and I like literally just sort of dumped the bike and jumped off and threw off all my clothes and got the damn thing out. And I got stung probably about 5 or 6 times. It was so bad. So yeah, don't recommend that. But it was just one of those things. Yeah, in the helmet sounds grim. I have to say.
Nasty, isn't it? What about you, John?
Yeah, I've had the old bug sort of crawling around in your hair. I don't know if being bald is worse here, because you can sort of feel them crawling around the back of your head, or if you've got hair, you can still feel it. So I'm not sure.
Do you remember when you hit that bird? Do you remember when you hit that bird and you had like
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
no.
I had a bit of egg juice on my
Ugh.
jacket.
Not egg juice.
Egg juice.
Jesus.
It was laying an egg at the time.
I think
Where
so.
was he riding?
Laid an egg in a shock.
Yeah, he'd been through a hen shed.
I think it was a pheasant. Which had an egg on the boil, and it ended up like my jacket.
Oh, dear.
Not on the boil.
I once, going back to that Yamaha, whatever it was called, ER6 diversion thing I had. I remember the week after I passed my test, I was doing 60 miles an hour on a back road, so as fast as you can go on a lane, and a blackbird or something hit me square in the visor. And honestly, at 60, it was like a brick smacking my head. It's never happened to me since, but my word, that was the bird was stunned. Clearly,
You'd be surprised how much force. If you're doing like the bird hit me in the chest, it was like I had a chest protector on, thankfully, but it's surprising the force of it. You know?
It is for a lesser individual. You could be off your bike, couldn't you? I mean, it was nearly off. I mean, just by hitting my face, incredible. Anyway, we're down to 754 viewers now, so we got we lost 2 as I mentioned it, 742. So I think we said below 750. We've got to call it a day, didn't we? Let's just have a little last round up of any comments, see if anyone's desperate for us to stay on. And we've been on getting on for 2 hours as well, which I think is long enough for anyone to listen to this rubbish. Have you all been to the TT? Who's been at the TT?
Yes.
Greg is an avid TT goer, aren't you, Greg?
I am, yeah.
I think every motorcyclist should go there once in their life.
Oh, it's brilliant. You got to, if you've never been, it's even if you're not into the TT, you should definitely go once. It's incredible. It's so close to the racing. You're literally like feet away from the bikes coming hurtling past. Yeah, the whole atmosphere on the island's just like amazing. If you get the weather right as well, which obviously is a bit of a luck, it definitely you should go. I think anyone that's never been, if you went, you'd be hooked. It's so much fun and
it's good vibes.
It's so good. You've been, Kate, have you?
Yeah,
but in the back of John McGuinness's bike round it.
Oh, not the TT. Hell no.
Yeah.
Might draw the line there, to be honest.
Yeah, that looks nuts, doesn't it? That is a crazy thing to spend your time doing.
I think they stopped doing pillion rides at the TT because of safety aspects, I believe.
Sure.
No surprise there, I guess. No surprise there. Anyway, I guess we should wrap it up. It's been fantastic to speak to you guys. If you fancy doing this again in the future, I'm always game.
100%.
I don't do these very often because it's I always get a bit worried about whether I can make it work, and we nearly didn't get this one to work, did we? But this setup with the
this is a great setup,
isn't it? It's good. It's great. Good. I'm tempted to shell out the money to get rid of that little logo in the corner. You can spend, I think it's like 20 quid a month, and I can put a little TMF logo there. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? But now I can access people remotely. It opens up the world of all sorts of interviews, doesn't it? Brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I wonder what all these buttons do if I press them. Let me just press these buttons. Oh, look. Oh, hey, look at that. That's good, isn't it?
Centre of the show, man.
Or I can do, what does that one do? Oh, that doesn't do anything. What if I do that one? That was the one we had. Oh, no, it's all going, okay. It's not that great. So there's all sorts of things you can play with. So check out StreamYard, chaps, if you fancy doing a live stream. Doesn't cost you anything if you want the big duck logo. And seems to work all right. But
that's pretty
I don't know whether it posts it to your YouTube channel afterwards. I assume it does. We shall find out. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We've still got 707. They're all dropping off now. But
it's all good.
Great to speak to everybody. And
appreciate it, Andy. Thank you very much for the
have a good week. Let's hope that the weather improves, eh?
Yes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you all.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ciao all. Cheerio.
Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss, bis bald.
Bye. Bye.